Very good morning to all. Please take your seat. I, Dr. Sarita, on behalf of Center for Child and Women Studies and Center for Comparative Public Law, HPNLU Shimla, take the privilege to welcome you all on one-day capacity building program on Rise and Lead, Young Women Pioneering in Technology, Business and Public Life. This initiative is a testament to our shared commitment to empowering young women and fostering leadership in various domains. The program aims to equip aspiring women leaders with the skills and knowledge necessary to excel in technology, business, and public life. I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to our esteemed guests, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Registrar Sir, Deputy Registrar Sir, and Director of Center for Child and Women Studies, Dean Student Welfare, Dean Academic Affairs, Member Secretary from NCW, faculty members, and students. Thank you all for joining us today as we gather here to mark momentous occasion. In Indian culture, the importance of lighting of the lamp is rooted in the spiritual connotations. Through the Diya lighting ceremony, one can invoke the blessings of divine energy for prosperity and abundance of positivity. So now I request Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, esteemed dignitaries, Registrar Sir, faculty members to come for the lighting of the lamp. Now it's time for felicitation of our esteemed dignitaries. I request BC Sir, Registrar Sir, Alok Sir, DSW Sir, Dean Academic Sir to come for the felicitation of the guests. Ms. Meenakshi Negi, Member NCW. Dr. Parimala, Professor Sanjeev Sharma ji, Geeta Kapoor ma'am, I request the dignitaries to approach the dais. Thank you, sir. A university's fully holds both symbolic and practical significance. It embodies the identity of the university and instills a sense of pride and belonging among. Now I request all to rise for our university fully.
योगः करं सुकौशलम् योगः करं सुकौशलम् हिमाचल प्रदेश राष्ट्र विधि विश्व गुरु बनना क्यों न गुरूर करें हिमालय से ऊंचा मस्तक जिसका दूरदर्शिता आसमान की परतें चिरे हवाएं झूम झूम नाम ले जिसका बर्फ कोमलता में दृढ़ता भरे देवित्य विधि के हर विधान की मस्तक झुके कर वेदी है संविधान की प्यार करे शक्ति शासन के प्राण की और अपने भारत देश महान की तथ्य से अवगत करा तत्व अंगीकृत कराए तर्क को अंगीभूत करा वितर्क की पूर्ण आहुति डलवाए कहता है हर युवा यहाँ लेखनी और वाणी वीर बने कानूनी मदद का दरिया बहा वाद विवाद प्रतिद्वंदी बने के आंचल से चुरा सफेदी चलाओ ने क्यों न गुरूर करें।
Thank you. To commence this auspicious occasion, it's my privilege to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Chanchal Singh, and Director of Center for Comparative Public Law. Dr. Singh has more than 15 years of full-time teaching experience and research. He has supervised numerous candidates of LLM and PhD. He is a founder, editor of Shimla Law Review, HPNLU Law Journal, published by HPNLU Shimla. He has been associated with Supreme Court's many projects and projects with Ministry of Justice. His area of interest and research range over constitutional law, legal philosophy, comparative public law, law and justice. Thank you. With these words, I would invite VC Sir to deliver presidential address.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries on dais, Mr. Negi, Member Secretary, National Commission for Women, Mrs. Geeta Kapoor, former CMD, SJVN, Professor Sanjeev, Sir, Professor of Management, Panjab University, Professor Parimala, Professor of Communication Science, IIT Mandi. I welcome all of you to this program. This is a new initiative. I must initiated by the NCW. The proposal we accepted, we are holding. I must tell you that the first program the university organized in 2017 after its inception was sponsored by NCW, and it was a national level program. More than 200 professors from all over India had gathered, and the program is better from the Shimla. We are here to deliberate, it's a capacity building program and awareness about power of women, place of women in public life, in public sphere, and what role technology and perspective technology can bring. There has been stereotyping, and we have been product of all this structure, the structural binary, structural positions in which our life is divided. Our means male and female, girl and boys. The structural binary consists in personal and private, public and private, personal and political, state and speech, or discourse, and silence, morality, and superstitions, justice. This binary needs to be broken. The binary is product of maybe started from Greeks, but the Greeks are not the only responsible person, because this is found in all civilizations, which Indian civilization. Aristotle clearly writes that by nature, the relationship between man and woman are in the nature of superiority and subordination, ruler and ruled. The great philosopher, founder of modernity or modern age, Immanuel Kant in his book writes on the observations of beauty and some line, that if there were to be an intellectual woman, she might have beard. No? Blackstone, who is the modern founder of common law, in his commentaries writes that her very about woman, her very being is suspended during the marriage, and that's why we have doctrine. Common law has a doctrine that the husband and wife has is one person, one. So the agency, autonomy, and identity of woman is like from law. Law itself is a product of masculinity, and that is clearly depicted in the traditional right. Traditional means modern right. Discourse, of course, that is changing with the several movement and under the influence of feminist writings, feminist discourse. So our point is the stereotyping or the binary oppositional structure, how far it can be broken by technology and adoption, use of technology, particularly digital and IT technology. Perhaps one disadvantage still that carries from the past, which has been the technology carries, that it is mostly produced by men. I tell you one example when I was, and we were looking for some resource person who can speak, female resource person who can deliver and make awareness or talk about AI and drone technology. We had a lot of difficulty to find a good resource person but we are thankful to Professor Parimala. She happily agreed at a very short notice because we had to prepone the program. So I welcome you all and hope all the best for the today program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such insightful words. Now, I would like to introduce Ms. Meenakshi Negi, Member Secretary, NCW. Ma'am is Karnataka Cadre IFS Officer. Ma'am is also having PG in Forestry, MPhil on Medicinal Plants from Indian Institute of Public Administration. Ma'am is also pursuing PhD. I would request Ma'am to grace the gathering with her insightful words.
A very good morning to everybody present here. And at the outset, I must say that it's such a pleasure being in a place like Shimla after that searing hotness, searing heat of Delhi, from where I came yesterday. In fact, yesterday when I was, when I came here, of course, I had booked my tickets for the flight, which comes from Delhi to Shimla. But I wasn't able to get a return flight, a seat on the return flight, because it was overbooked. So I called up your Vice Chancellor yesterday. You know what I intended to say? I wanted to say that, look, I'm not getting a reservation on the return flight. I'm so sorry. I'll not be able to make it. But he was so, polite, so humble, so nice, that I ended up saying, okay, I'll come by road. I'm coming. That's what happened. And that's how I'm here. And I must thank you, Professor Chanchal, for inviting me here and giving me this opportunity to talk to you. Dr. Parimala from IIT Mandi, Ms. Geeta, former CMD of SNGB, Professor Sanjeev Sharma from Panjab University, the registrar and the other people, my colleague from NCW, Ms. Chandrika, who was, I think, the happiest when we decided to make the road trip. Because she wasn't getting tickets even for the journey into Shimla. We managed that. So thank you so much for inviting me here this morning. It's a pleasure being here. Okay, now I have a PPT, but I'm not going to bore you with it because this is an inaugural session and we can't possibly have 30 slides during the inauguration, but it'll be there in case you all want to see it later. So now I'll just ask, maybe just interact with you a bit. So to begin with, maybe I'll ask you one question. How many of you in the audience who could say with some confidence that he or she is a feminist? You can raise your hands. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Some are, only one hand went straight up, then 3 or 4 hesitatingly went halfway up, and the last 2 were just this much. They didn't go all the way up. So what is it? Why do we hesitate to say that we are feminists? What is feminism? You're students of law. And if you look at the evolution of the movement, evolution of feminism from where it began and where it is today. So now the country is, you know that the country is, we are having these elections these days, the Lok Sabha elections. So today, can you imagine if somebody was to walk up to you, any of you, and say that, look, you don't have the intellectual capacity to vote, and you're not competent to vote, what would be your reaction? I know you'll probably pick up the phone and complain to the National Commission for Women that, look, this idiot is talking like this. And we would probably go after him or her, hammer and tongs. How can you say this? But it wasn't too long back when these things were par for the course. When people were saying these things, and it was only as late as 1904 that the first alliance, International Alliance for Adult Universal Franchise, was started in Germany by a woman. And slowly this movement caught on, and there were hurdles along the journey, of course. And people gave up their careers, their family lives, dedicated themselves to the cause, and that is why today we can walk freely, go out and vote, and without any questions asked. But we shouldn't forget history, and it's not been too far back that these things were being said, and these were accepted in society. During the World Wars, when women came out to work, when the men went to war, and women came out to work in large numbers, it was realized that they have substance, they can work in factories, they can make the economy work, despite the absence of men. Then slowly that realization dawned that yes, women need to have a say in the political sphere also. But even then it wasn't easy. India, we were lucky because our founding fathers had that vision right in the beginning to give adult franchise, universal adult franchise to all the citizens. But that wasn't so in many other countries, because there were countries as late as the 1970s. I ask you to go back and read all that and see how the movement evolved and where it began and how it came about. And all that is thanks to the feminist movement. And feminism is not about women talking for women. Men can talk for women, which they do. In fact, the initial voices which were raised in favor of women were from men. You look at the Indian reform movement, you look at Raja Ram movement. There are so many people, men, who came forward in Mahatma Gandhi, and so many people. You all know it. But it hasn't been easy for us to come here. And therefore, it is a hard one. It's a hard-won battle. Therefore, we should not take it for granted. We should be there trying to raise our voices against injustice, against the dominant patriarchy. I'm not saying you go out and start shouting. And that is the reason, that brings me to the point as to why is feminism a bad word? Why do we hesitate in saying that I'm a feminist? Because precisely for this reason that there is this fringe element which goes and shouts, and they are man haters, and they don't want to talk to people, and they want to, go out onto the streets. Maybe they have their value because they bring a focus on the issue at hand. But at its core, feminism is an ideology for which people have worked very hard and laid down their careers and family lives to bring us to where we are. So let not the fringe take away from the core. The fringe will always be there, and we cannot wish it away. That's how human society is. That's how human beings are. But we have to look at the core of the ideology and then make up our minds whether we would like to be called feminists or not. And these days, gender is not only man and woman. These days, societies have increasingly realized that it's gender diversity out there. And all of you youngsters are much more aware of it than our generation could possibly be, as to what countries are doing and what, even in India, even in the Sarkari forms that we have, we started putting gender, male, female, and others. At least we have graduated to that level. But gender identities, there is a gender diversity there. You have to be very aware of these things, because that is going to be your challenges in future. How to address them, how to make society more inclusive so that everybody can have their say. Everybody can contribute, irrespective of gender, irrespective of any other intersectionalities. As you know, gender by itself is, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. There are so many intersectionalities, especially in a country like India, which is class, caste, economic strata. There are so many intersectionalities that come into play that those who are disadvantaged on account of their gender are severally disadvantaged on account of other parameters like caste or class or economic or educational status and so many things. So you as budding lawyers have to keep this in mind and then maybe build your lives and build your careers around a more inclusive and equitable society. So that is my appeal to you this morning. So how many of you are feminists? Okay. So still there are hesitant people. Please go back, read. Look, read Sandra Harding. She's related. She's a modern social scientist, and you read her and how she has spoken about the missing voices. We know what Socrates thought. We know what Aryabhatta thought. We know what Newton thought. We know all the men scientists and their works. In literature, we have all of it recorded. But 50%, the voice of 50% of humanity we have lost because they weren't recorded, they weren't recognized. And now when we have to scratch our heads if we have to think about who was a woman scientist. Oh, Madam Curie, one. And then we'll think of who was it. We'll go back to some ancient text and say, okay, Gargi and Maitreyi were big scholars. What happened in the meantime? What happened to those voices? Who knows? Aryabhatta's sister could have been a better mathematician. For all we know, she was. But we won't know anymore. So please be proud feminists, irrespective of your gender. Anybody can be a feminist. It's an ideology, just like any other ideology. And go back and read. And that will help you, help society. And that will further the agenda of the National Commission for Women at least. So that's why I am speaking to you from here. Now, there are several things which I'd like to share. I'll tell you a story. There was this washerman. I think Chandrika might have heard this story or not, I don't know. But many of you may not have. There was a washerman who had a donkey. He would collect clothes to be washed, place them on the donkey and take them to the river to be washed every day. That was his livelihood. And every day he would go to the river, he would tie the donkey at the bank somewhere to a peg on the ground so that the donkey wouldn't stray too far away. And so the donkey was used to moving in that little radius provided by the rope. And he stayed there. One day the washerman forgot to get the rope. So he was scratching his head, he didn't know what to do because he couldn't possibly go back home all the way because that would have cost him a day's work and a day's livelihood. So he was just wondering what to do, and then there was this wise man who was passing by, and the wise man said what happened, and this fellow narrated his story. So the wise man said, okay, you do one thing. You take an imaginary rope and you pretend to tie one end of the rope around the donkey's neck and the other end to the peg on the ground. And everything is imaginary. So this man, although the washerman wasn't convinced, as are not many people in the audience, I think. So the washerman wasn't convinced, but he had no option. So he picked up an imaginary rope. He tied one end of the imaginary rope to the donkey's neck and the other end to the imaginary peg on the ground. And with great trepidation, he went to wash his clothes. After doing the day's work, when he came back, what did he see? What do you think he saw? Still there. Yeah, this is meant for the students though. No, okay, yeah. And the donkey was exactly in the same position, moving around in the same circle, in the same radius, one little sphere that he was running around, which he was used to. Why? Because of the mindset. So we have to change our mindsets. Please change your mindsets regarding feminism. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because we are so set in our thinking, we are so set in the way society brings us up, the way we look at the social structures around us. And as young girls, especially, you may be rebelling against it. You do. So often, many times, you argue with your mother, why can't the brother's going out at 9 o'clock, why can't I? And so many other. These are trivial things, but even for larger things, we have to argue and fight our way. Even for education, parents will say, no, now it's time to get married. And you say, no, I want to study more. Every day is struggle. So these mindsets which have come up over long periods of growing up in a society like the societies that we grew up in, by and large, they are patriarchal societies all over the world. And therefore, these mindsets that we get trapped in, those mindsets we have to break. So the donkey, if only he could have come out of that mindset of moving in that little circle, would have been a free animal. But he couldn't. He didn't, because breaking mindset is the most difficult thing. You know, you can physical things, one can, because you can see them, you can understand them, you can come out of them. But mindsets are something from where you have to, if you have to get out, you have to understand, you have to read, you have to engage with people, and then you'll realize that there is a whole world out there. So it's my request to you, don't be the novice donkey, be someone who can think out of the box, get out of situations, and lead your lives not for yourselves alone, but because society is investing in you, right? This whole campus was created by money which belonged to you and me, to taxpayers. We are being paid by government. I am being paid by government. Out of the money that is paid by all of us, we pay this money. So society is investing in all of you, in all of us, and it's our duty to give back to society in whichever way we can. So that's my humble request to all of you. And I think I shouldn't take too much time. There are other speakers, and I think they will share many more valuable things. So I'll just end with two quotes. One is my favorite, Rabindranath Tagore, Where the Mind is Without Fear. I'm sure all of you have read it. Please go back and reread it. That's all I can say. So, Where the Mind is Without Fear. Where the world has not been, my favorite line is, where the world has not been broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls. So that line, please make it a motto. Try to, live by what the great poet has said. And the other is by another very favorite poet of mine. Of course, I love the Bhagavad Gita. I had a shloka, but I don't think I'll bore you anymore. But I will talk Majaz. I don't know if you read the poet. So he says in one of his compositions, I'll quote, he says, तेरे माथे का ये आंचल बहुत ही खूब है, लेकिन तेरे माथे का ये आंचल बहुत ही खूब है, लेकिन तू इस आंचल से एक परचम बना लेती तो अच्छा था, हिजाब फितना पर अब उठा लेती तो अच्छा था. Parcham, it's a flag, yeah. So that's my 2 bits for all of you today. I'll be there the whole day. I'd love to interact with you more. And if possible, we can share what NCW has been doing in this sector and how NCW came about to do this, for this program, Rise and Lead. This is the 25th program. This is the last, in fact. So we began with Dehradun, one hill station, and ended up with the other. In the meantime, we've been all across the country, from the south to the east, northeast, west, everywhere. So thank you very much for
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have rightly highlighted that self-realization is must, because we have struggled with the dominant gender. So now, I would hand over the podium to my friend, Dr. Chanchal.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am's address reminds one of the great philosophers of China, Lao Tse, who said, water is too soft, but it can cut mountains to make the way. You can see this line is beautiful, sublime. So when Lao Tse said that, it signifies the beauty of feminist principle. But that beauty has lost in our aggressive, violent culture. And that's why John Stuart Mill, in his book, Vindication of the Rights of Women, said, that it's impossible task to realize feminist principle in today's legal system. Because today's legal system works in the language of right and violence of right, but feminist principle is about care, nurturing, and that beauty is lost in our violent culture. So, man reminds that famous poet or philosopher. So today we will start with a technical session, and we have 3 technical sessions, and we have 3 great distinguished speakers before us. So we have first speaker, Dr. Parimala, Assistant Professor, School of Computing and Electrical Engineering, IIT Mandi. So ma'am did MTech and PhD from IIT Hyderabad, and she is interested in computer vision, machine learning, and deep learning, as well as machine learning for robotics. These are very technical areas, and as we understand, that technology is something which enslaves us but also liberates us. So the point is, how can we use technology? Today, ma'am will deliver lecture on Take Horizons, navigating emerging opportunity in artificial intelligence and drone technology. Over to you.
Yes. So, hello everyone, I am Parimala. So I came from a small village of Telangana. So I've studied in IIT Hyderabad. My master's and PhD is from IIT Hyderabad. So after that, I worked in corporate for a year. So then after working for a year, I realized that I'm interested in teaching more than working in an industry. So then I moved to IIT Mandi. I joined IIT Mandi in 2022 November. So basically, it's just been 1 year, 1.5 years. So till 2022, I was actually on your side, student side, and this is the first time I'm on this side, and being the speaker really feels good to me. And it feels so good to see. I teach in IIT Mandi. There we have like, all the kinds of students from all over India, and we have girls and boys. But I don't know why I'm really biased towards girl students. It feels so happy seeing you all here. And it feels, and I'm very thankful to your Chanchal sir, Professor Chanchal sir, to invite me. And yeah, maybe I may not see. I have a I'm basically an engineer by background, so I generally teach engineering students. So this is the first time I'm kind of addressing law students. So if I really make any mistakes during my presentation, kindly let me know and just inform me if anything is not right. So the topic of today's presentation is emerging opportunities in AI and drone technology. So maybe let me start by asking a simple question. So can you tell me what is intelligence? At least the dictionary meaning, can you tell me what is intelligence? To make right decisions. To make right decisions, yes. It's the ability to think, and ability to solve real world problems or the complex problems, right? So what do you mean by artificial intelligence then? Have you heard of the term artificial intelligence earlier? So when we say artificial, it is not something natural, right? It is man-made. So it is a man-made kind of what should I say? It is basically all of human beings will have some intelligence based on our experience. We will acquire some ability to solve some problems, real world problems, right? And ability to think also we will learn over our experience. Okay, so but in artificial intelligence, what do? We try to teach machines to think like a human being. But do you think we will really make a machine think like human being? Do you think it is possible? Maybe to some extent. To some extent, right? It may not be possible completely, but definitely to an extent. When I say to an extent, it means that for a particular task, Okay, so maybe that task can be, suppose if I just wanted to count the number of people in this room. Okay, so maybe a human being, like as we know how a face look like, how a person look like, then I may just start counting and I may give the number at the end. Like I'll just do the crowd counting. But if I want a machine to do that, if I want a machine to count the number of people in this room, what should it know basically? It should know how to detect the person, how a face look like, it should know. The machine should know, right? Then only it can count the number of people. Okay. So maybe, yeah. So how did we learn about the face? Basically, when we were born or when a child is born, he will basically using the sensory organs that we have. So what are all the sensory organs? Eyes and nose, and like all of the visual, like, we will consume the visual information through our eyes. Right? So using the sensory organs, we will try to observe our surroundings and the environment, and we will try to learn. Okay, so when a child is born, he may not know anything, but as he is observing things, he will basically learn how a face look like. Okay, so let's not just restrict to face. Suppose if we want to identify dogs, okay, so maybe some when a person is born, maybe for 2 years, he saw some particular kind of dogs. Okay, some dogs he might have seen in his experience, but when a new dog comes, okay, which he has not seen, but still we have the ability to say that this is a dog, right? So and even if I've seen like 1,000 faces in my experience, if I get a new face or new human face, I'll still be able to say that okay, this is a human image or this is a face image. So how am I doing that? That is because our brain basically captures the patterns. Okay, patterns in the visual information. So this face has a particular pattern, right? Eyes will be in the proper place and like mouth and all of the skin texture, everything. The pattern will be learned by our human beings. Okay, so in the same way, even the language also it's the same way. We will learn language by hearing, right? By hearing, and we'll try to understand the pattern present in the language, and we'll try to learn to speak. Okay, so it's all about like the intelligence to human beings is basically acquired by observing surroundings and by what should I say, by extracting patterns and by analyzing the patterns, right? Through our visual or by visual information or by our audio. Right? So now, if when I say this is the human intelligence that we are acquiring through ears. So if I have to make my machine to think like human, then we should have some sensory, like some feeding, what should I say, some information devices to that machine also, right? Suppose like you have already said that artificial intelligence or this machine, will it really think like a human being? You said not completely, right? But to an extent it can think. So when I say to that extent, it is limited. Okay, so now let's just restrict to visual. Okay, so in order to feed some information, visual information to a machine, we need a camera. Okay, so the camera will capture the surroundings or this image. Then that image or that the field that we are getting from camera will be given to a machine. So ideally, machine will be getting the information of the surroundings. Right? So then ideally, it has to process, it has to understand the pattern in that data, and it has to learn. So every time when we say artificial intelligence, it is task specific. Okay, so if we are focusing on visual information or the visual task, so the first task I have told you is this crowd counting. Okay, so that task, if you want to replace a human being with a machine, you have to learn or you have to train this machine to do this vision task. Okay, so that is called computer vision. Okay, so that is a sub area under your artificial intelligence. Okay, so there are multiple areas. Oh no, this is not. So yeah, so maybe this anyway I have explained that how we human beings learn. Okay, so we learn by observing patterns. So you know that, right? Like if I have given you an example of visual information, but there can be an example from our touch also. Maybe in the first instant, a child may touch fire. Okay, then he may get hurt. So later he will learn that okay, that is not that is not the I mean that is not proper. We should not touch fire. Okay, like we will get hurt. So that's how we learn through experiences by doing some actions. Okay, so based on our past action, we will learn something, and that we will actually uh, have with us to make decisions in future. Okay, so now if you see artificial intelligence is all about learning patterns, but the patterns that we are learning depends on the input data. In some cases, it can be a visual data. In some cases, it can be audio data. So have you used any time Google Translator to translate from one language to other language? So that is the example of speech. Okay, so where artificial intelligence or a machine that we have trained is working on speech data. Okay, and have you used ChatGPT? Yes. Do you use ChatGPT for your assignments and everything? Okay, so ChatGPT basically takes text data. Okay, you ask a question that then it will reply. So there the data getting, the data going into your machine is text data. Okay, so if you see. So this artificial intelligence basically is everywhere now. All of the industries started using artificial intelligence models or this machine. So we can call it a machine learning model or an artificial intelligence model. Like both are the same. So all of the industries now started using AI models. It's basically speeds up your process, right? Instead of a human being solving a particular task, if we teach a machine to do it, it will do it very less time and with very less computations also. Fine. So I just wanted to show you some applications of AI and ML, like where this AI and machine learning algorithms will be used. So have you any time realized when you are purchasing a product from Amazon, like if you are just stacking, and if you are doing online shopping, like maybe after some time, if you again open your Amazon account, it will show some recommendations. So how is that possible? It is basically tracking the previous searches. Okay, it is basically tracking your previous searches and previous products that you are viewing, and then there can be a AI algorithm inside which is actually learning your desires, basically what you want to buy, then it will actually recommend you the right product. Okay, so this is also one of the application of AI and ML. And this personalized shopping, it's again the same example. And in healthcare, how can we use machine learning in healthcare? So when I say AI or machine learning, it's always to replace a human being, a kind of replace it in a specific task mode. Not completely, but for a small specific task with a limitation again. So suppose if we want to use this AI algorithm in healthcare, so like where all can be used? Suppose if there is a practitioner, like a doctor, who will actually take these MRI images or CT images, okay, for cancer detection or for any disease detection. Definitely in an image there will be again a pattern. Okay, so if there is a disease inside you, then the image will have a particular pattern. So instead of doctors identifying it, can we actually teach a machine to identify that anomaly present in the image? So how is it possible again? Only if we teach the pattern to your algorithm, right? So how is it possible? Every time I am saying that you have to teach the pattern to your AI algorithm, or machine learning model basically learns only through the patterns. So how is that possible? See, for a human being, learning is possible over years. We observe things and we learn from different resources. Then we try to learn, gather the information, right? For AI tool if we want to train an AI machine or a machine learning algorithm to do the similar task, like in human being case, it's experience. In AI case, it's the data. You should have the data. Okay, so when I say the data should be labeled. So there should be some examples. Okay, so maybe let me go back to the same example, this crowd counting example or the face detection example. So what I will do is maybe I will just take some 3 lakh images or like 10,000 images. I will just take and I'll just mark the face in it. In an image, there will be a particular portion per face. I'll just mark. So that is called labeling of the data. So given the data, I will actually manually label. Okay, so then I will create some 10,000 samples where 10,000 images where the faces are marked. Okay, so now I have manually marked, no? So this 10,000 images will be like your training set for your AI machine learning algorithm. So ideally, given this data, it learns. Human being learns through experience. AI machine will learn from your data. Okay, so in finance, how can you use machine learning? So in financial domain, generally, this ML algorithms will be used for stock prediction. Okay, like the market analysis basically, and smart cars and drones. So, like I have told you, like it is replacing human beings. Suppose if you want to have a self-driving car. Okay, in the self-driving car, like if a human being is driving, so we will actually do multiple tasks. No, we will observe the road and we will actually do a little bit of path planning also. We will do the navigation path planning in our mind, then we will drive. So if you want our AI machine to do it, it has to do a road detection first. It has to identify the road. It has to identify buildings, and then it has to do the path planning. Then it has to actually take turns and like move, right? So all of these tasks should be done by a machine learning algorithm or AI algorithm. Okay. So again, how are we getting that algorithm? Collect the data, then train your model. Then ideally it should work in a what should I say, unseen scenario also. When I say data, it is a labeled scenario. You will actually manually feed some data to it. So when in the future, it should actually take the decision in real time. Uh, See, like I told you, the 10,000 face images, if you use and train a machine learning algorithm, if you give a new face, it should identify. Then only you can say that the model is learned or model is trained. If it fails, then the machine learning model is not trained properly. It's not working. Not Yeah, travel and navigation, I've told you already. Yeah, so in the Facebook also, if you see, many a times you upload a picture, it will actually give a, what should I say, the tag, no, face tag with your name. So that is possible because it learned your facial features. Okay, so it knows basically how your face look like. So even if you upload a new photo where your face is slightly tilted or maybe not with a good illumination, still it will detect. Okay, the smart home devices and creative arts. So in maybe if you see the game engines, so in the cloud gaming platforms, if you see the background, so that background is also nowadays created by AI. So maybe yeah, so this I'll skip. So yeah, maybe this is the important thing I wanted to highlight. So till now I have told you that AI is used for a task. Okay, where instead of doing the task with human being, if you want a machine to do it, how will you do it? Okay, so now have you heard of this term generative AI? Have you heard of deepfakes? Yes. So the generative AI is a slightly different way. Instead of performing a task like this recommendation or navigation, what we will do is we are trying to generate new samples. Okay, so the first piece that you see actually, all of the faces, that 8 faces, they don't exist in the world. Okay, so I have actually learned a machine learning model using some 3 lakh images, 3 lakh facial images, and after training that model, then if I actually ask my model to generate, it generated all of those faces. So these faces doesn't exist in the world. So how is it generating? Basically, it learned the pattern, no? Like a painter paints. So it knows the pattern, how the texture look like, how the texture is, how the eyes are, So then it is trying to generate new samples. So these are called fake celebrity faces or deep fakes. Okay, and this is possible. And then recently, if you have heard of, people are actually cloning the voices.
Okay, so the cloning the voice also it's possible with AI and like ChatGPT anyway you know. So all of these applications are good. Like AI algorithms were able to do it because they have data, and given that we are in like right now in the current scenarios we have the machines also. Machines I mean the GPUs, the high-end computers also we have to train a machine learning model and to handle 3 lakh images. It means that like 300 GB data also we were able to handle because of the computers given and in the current scenario. But now, so do you like? Let me ask you a question. Do you think AI is good or AI is bad? It depends, right? AI can be used for a good purpose, and AI can be actually dangerous also. Like if you see this like fake, deep fakes, and the and this voice cloning and all, like this can, if you don't have proper rules and regulation, then this can become like it is not good actually. The doing research in this direction may not be good to society. So then what should we do? So there is something called responsible AI, where you have to actually concentrate on privacy of the data, and when you learn a model, for what purpose you are going to use that model. So that should be actually regularized. Like, there should be proper rules to use AI models. Okay, we just can't like ideally we should not use AI everywhere and create this deep fake samples, and that creates a lot of privacy issues, right? Yeah, so now maybe this slide I've just kept with my experience, but you know better how AI can be used in a law firm. Okay, so maybe do you have any suggestions like how AI can be used in your domain? So the one is this large chat GPT, where if you have some questions related to your domain, you can just give to that model. That model can actually give you some solution. So how is that possible again? The chat GPT in general, chat GPT that you have on internet, that OpenAI chat GPT, that might be learned on some thousands of samples, the books that are available, and the data that is available on Google. So, but if you want to learn a specific chat GPT focused on your own, what should I say, your own domain problems or your own books, then ideally it will learn and it will act like a generative model for you. If you can give some prompt to it, and ideally it will answer. That answer is it correct or not? That is a different story. How is it learned? That depends on that. See, I won't say that it will definitely replace the domain expertise like you, but it may help you to an extent if you learn a large chat GPT. And the other thing is a document analysis, where you might be having like very old books. No, if you want to digitize them, and if you want to do some do document summary from those documents and summarize the documents, so in such cases you can use this chat GPT. Actually, like after I came here, I have been hearing this term LLM, but actually in our domain, LLM is large language model. Okay, so this ChatGPT is the large language model. So we try to use this LLMs to train ChatGPTs to train on this text data. Okay. Yeah. So maybe I was actually asked to present this opportunities in AI and drone technology. So when it comes to AI, like you know how basic how it works, right? I didn't get into the technicalities how the algorithm is learned and all, but if you want to search for the opportunities in this domain, actually there maybe in your domain, if you want to use AI, maybe you can start with some basics and learn some algorithms. And basically, you have to integrate your domain with AI. You have to know how to use AI in your domain. And if you basically study this machine learning and AI, there will be jobs in data science. And actually, I have told you, right, I am coming from a corporate, like I came from corporate to academia. So in that also, we used to have what employees from law background. So they will basically work with us. We are all data scientists or research scientists or machine learning algorithms, and they work with in a different aspect. Basically, their job is different, but they as they are working with us, it's good to know some of the data science concepts and AI concepts. Okay, yeah, so just wanted to highlight some of the skill development programs that happen in Himachal Pradesh, especially in IIT Mandi. So there is one center for continuing education. So like time to time we will have some workshops and some skill development programs by government and by our IIT Mandi also. Yeah, you can basically check for those. And there is one foundation basically founded by DST. It is an iHub associated with IIT Mandi. They also conduct some skill development programs and AI and machine learning crash courses for for students from different backgrounds. Okay, you don't have to be from this technical background, and you don't have to be from engineering background. So, student with any background can enroll in those, and you can do this crash courses. So now getting into drone. So what is drone? Many of you might have seen all Instagram, Facebook videos with drones too. Unmanned aerial vehicle. Yes. So it basically flies and it can carry some load also. Okay, from one place to other place. It's like a robot, but it is navigating in the air. Okay, and it can transfer a limited load. Okay, so then given this drone, like, can you tell me any application that you can think of? Application of drone, any real-time application of drone, not just for clicking the pictures or not just for the monitoring, any other real-time application. Agriculture is one very good, very good place where we can use drones. It's mainly for crop monitoring and identifying the diseases from crops. So ideally, see, the drone is doing what? It is basically flying and it is taking the images or the videos of that crop. Again, we have to take those videos to an algorithm to detect your diseases or anomalies and all. Okay, so the drone is kind of helping you to gather the data with more field of view, right? Yeah, so one more application is if you have a drone with limited capacity, like with limited load carrying capacity, then you can even use it to or transfer medicines from one place to other place. Okay, so this can be used in rescue operations. Fine. So there is one program recently conducted at again iHub in IIT Mandi. So it's called Drone DD program. So it is specially for girls, and it is basically conducted by government. Okay, so then you can again look for this kind of program. This may happen again. I'm not sure about the schedule. So, but this kind of programs will give you to build a drone from scratch. Basically, you will learn how to build a drone from scratch and how to operate a drone. So, I mean, I have just listed down all of the companies where AI and machine learning is used extensively. So these are just the companies. As you may also join some corporate companies in future. So I'm just displaying all of these corporate companies here. So AI and ML now, even the lot of startups came with the AI and ML theme to solve some real-time problems. Okay, so now if you just ask me like what skills do we need to basically learn AI and ML, it's like if you know basic math and basic coding, and you basically should have the analytical skills to connect your domain to this AI and ML. Then if you have those, then you can easily get into AI and ML. Like if you see people working in AI and ML, they are not just from engineering background. They can be people from biology, agriculture, management, and law. Like everywhere this can be used, and this you can easily pick up if you have basic math and basic coding. Thank you. That's all I have. Like if you have any questions. Yes.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm Sharma. I'm a final year student. My question to you is basically an opinion. I need an expert opinion because given that we come from law background,
Yes.
and the biggest challenge in artificial intelligence is liability. How to determine the liability of any wrong if it is committed by a machine, which is an artificial.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now, as far as the civil wrongs are concerned,
Yes. Yes.
it can be compensated by damages. So
Yes,
we have
yes.
liabilities which is
Yes.
vicarious, like
Yes.
indirect. Who employed it?
Yes.
Who is the company which owns it?
Yes.
Who made it?
Yes.
Now, you being an expert and engineer, I need to ask you about the criminal liability because that is a very shady area as of now.
Yes.
And even today, like we are in the global technology where Sophie
Hmm.
was a robot
Yes.
which got citizenship in Saudi Arabia in 2017.
Yes.
So now my question is, like, do we call AI as a rudimentary consciousness? Like we feed only few principles
Hmm.
and then it has a consciousness to imbibe certain intelligence.
Yes.
So because in criminal liabilities we need intent.
Yes.
To kill, say for example in vehicle,
Yes.
if it is over speeding and it is AI driven,
Yes.
who shall be responsible? Because
Yes.
that intention element is lacking.
Yes.
So can AI as
Yes.
a machine
Yes.
has its own intention or is it still attributable to the coding or the algorithm?
It is still attributed to the coding and the learning. So then we can say it is basically coming from your training and the learning of the model. So I really can't say that, like, if you have some sensitive tasks, like you are saying, you are coming from law background, and these are all very sensitive tasks, right? So if you're using ML in that scenario, maybe that can be used only as a pre-processing step or I mean, to reduce your burden to an extent, but not completely relied on your AI model. If you take even a medical image domain, it is also a very sensitive area. So if a machine learning model fails and if there is no cancer, but if it detects as cancer, then he has to undergo a lot of treatment, right? The patient has to undergo a lot of treatment. So definitely there are pros and cons, and like it is basically up to us how we use it and to what extent we use it.
So we can attribute intention
Yes.
only to the person who made it or
Yes.
the algorithm which was fed in.
Not made it because it is basically the limitation of the learning itself. Thank you. Hello. Yes.
Ma'am, first of all, it's a golden opportunity to get to ask you a question. Thank you. My being an average student is a very basic question, but
Yes.
since I have the opportunity, I would like to ask that since we know that AI will be very dangerous to
Yes.
uh, humans in general, for example, in case of employment,
Yes.
it will cause a lot of unemployment. For example, if we take the case of cab drivers, which can be replaced by robots.
Okay.
So, what is the hidden agenda, if I can ask, behind pushing AI? What is the discourse that goes on around your discussion circles? Thank you.
Okay, see, if it is helping our society, then it's good. Okay. So if it is not helping, then it's better not to direct our research in that direction. Okay, so suppose if you see, like maybe let me give you an example. Like maybe you have an email, right? In the email, you will have spam detection, and then there will be surveillance cameras where the CC cameras were kept. So that CC camera feed will get into some server, and in that server we can do a monitoring of that place. Okay, where suppose if you want to employ a human being all the time, maybe it is not possible. So in that case, AI algorithm can help you to monitor that. So it depends on the application, and it depends again to what extent you are using. Okay, like if you are completely replacing a human being, also it is not correct. Like if you want to use it in a way that it will help us, our society, then it's ideally the research should go in that direction. I think. Is it okay? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks once again for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Your address reminds what Buddha said. There are 5 aggregates of human life. One aggregate is form, material form. But 4 other aggregates are mental formations. And out of those mental formations, the first one is feeling, emotion. Second is perception, we perceive through senses. Third is mental concept, we all create concept. And fourth one is awareness. But AI model works on 2 levels, perception and conception. So it may sense something and can create pattern, create data. But the real question is, as Gene Sir, American philosopher in 1980 in his paper asked this question, mind, brain and program, that whether AI can have capacity of meaning making, that semantical approach to understanding anything. Whether AI can understand anything, can make meaning of anything, or AI can just simply manipulate various signs and symbols to produce real pattern to give you a result. That's the question, very intriguing question. Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful lecture. And I hope we all have understood some nuances of AI. Now we have in second technical session, Professor Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, a professor of management, University Institute of Management Studies, Panjab University. So sir has published 3 books and more than 75 research papers. And he has extensively worked on the field of consumer satisfaction and e-healthcare services. So it's a golden opportunity for us to understand some basic concepts. Over to you.
Good morning, friends. I'm very happy to be back here. You know why I'm saying so? Some of the faces are familiar to me. Maybe I tortured you at the induction program. Right from 2016 or 17, whenever there is an induction program, there is one hit man, and I'm always on that hit list. And did you notice the sitting arrangement? They push the man to the periphery, right? Because it's a woman's seminar. It's okay. It's okay. No. Appearances are very deceptive. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor, for inviting me. And I'm really thankful to Madam Negi that she made my task so difficult in the very beginning itself. This particular initiative of capacity building, why it should be a day's program? Every day is a Women's Day. You are woken up by your mother. At that time also she gives you a lori soda. And perhaps the best manager you could ever think of is a woman. If you look at the total scenario, 3 major time wasters all of us have. And youngsters, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, maybe Insta. An average student spends 27 to 30% of his productive day on WhatsApp. I don't know where we are heading, especially when Madam talked on artificial intelligence, very technical. There were 2 questions. I was very curious on those 2 questions, and they were very well framed. First question was that can we hold artificial intelligence vicariously liable? With little background of law, I will say it is more to do with the mens rea. What is the intention for which you are using artificial intelligence? If the intention itself is bad, like there are thousands of material available on the net on how to commit a suicide, right? But that you will not be vicariously liable for all those things. Right? It is for the purpose you are searching. Can I have my presentation, please? Okay. 2-3 things I will request all of you to let's have an interactive session, because the mind is like a parachute. It works only when it is open. There's no fun having a parachute when it doesn't work. Right. So and my special focus will be my contemporaries, my my friends in the last desk, because I have all my student life been a lifelong member of Backbenchers Association. Welcome, ma'am. No. So in the beginning itself, I said my task is so difficult after Madam Member Secretary's address that I don't know from where to start and how to continue. So, what I will basically talk to you is on. I have tinkered with the title given to me. I have put a woman as the pivot, leading from the front. That is how I present it. Short 30 minutes presentation. If you have any questions or you feel it is getting bombarded with a lot of material, just raise your hands. I will make out that my time is over. Okay. So what I will basically be highlighting is the technology enabled emerging dimensions of public life and how women, even if many of them may not be tech savvy, are much more knowledgeable, and because there is no relationship between education and knowledge. You could be knowledgeable without even entering into a school or a college. And my special focus will be on how this, and I'm leaving my presentation with the organizer just in case somebody has some interest. That how can we manage the complexities of the system? You have a very volatile system, you have a very uncertain environment, you have a very complex, ambiguous scenario. So moving from women's development into women-led development is the initial or something which we all must work at. And in the end, I would like to give you some examples or case studies of women who have been the drivers of change across different spectrum. Right? So that is the whole. And in between, I will also like to share some of the schemes of the government on how women can be further empowered. Wonderful lines I picked up. So if you really look at the whole circle, right from the birth of a female to giving birth to a female or a male, right? It's a full circle. Women create, they nurture, they transform. So are they not an epitome of 3D? God, generate, operate, destroy. Destroy not in a negative sense, destroy the ill effects of the system. Father of the nation was very pointed. He said that man can never be a woman's. There is always certain ladder with certain constant high, because that selfless service, right, which is an epitome of something, right, and it is inbuilt, it's endowed in her. Our beloved Prime Minister also says that our Matra Shakti is our pride. Right? If women empowerment has to be there, it is the mandatory sine qua non, as they say in law, right, for our development. Right? So, but where do we look at growth, right? First, the concept of gender equality, right? Gender equality per se may not be the desirable objective. The desirable objective is their role in decision making, right? Across all spectrum, across all stages. Right? And second is, how can we enhance women's participation in the public life? Right? Recently, our parliament passed the Women Reservation Act 2023, 33% reservation across different legislatures, and we already have that Panchayati Raj amendment somewhere in the 90s. So these are all affirmative actions. But what is more important is that if you look at the global scale, already India is predominantly in first 4 or 5 or 10% of women's participation. But the very fact that the administration thought that no, this is not sufficient, we need to do a little more, right? to enhance and use their talent and energies. So as I mentioned, currently around 14-15% of our members of parliament, please correct me ma'am if I'm slightly wrong, but I think that is the, and in our states around little less than 10%. And, but please remember, the global average is just 7%. So even by global average, we are double digit. Especially post liberalization, LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization, 1992, there has been a marked increase in women's participation in management, especially in the public sector and the private sector, right? And currently, we are hovering around 19% of total management. When I say management, management is somebody who is on the board of directors and above, right? So around 19%. Although there is a mandatory requirement that there must be one lady on board of directors of every public listed company. This is the paradox of our time, right? Inequalities, they emerge because there is a knowledge divide, right? Still around 54-55% is the female literacy level, the high school level, right? Male is somewhere around 71-70. So that this knowledge divide because of the inequality, or inequality is because of this knowledge divide. So that this is a flux. Flux means something, one thing leading to another, to catch 22 situation. But this is something we all must be proud of. 1947 independence, till now 2 women presidents. Just compare itself with so-called most democratic country, US. 76 independence, no woman as president. And as late as somewhere around 2020, first female vice president, Kamala Harris. So just look at the way woman Shakti, woman power has been expressing itself. This year, the government of India announced 132 Padma Awards, 30 of them were ladies. It is not because it was compartmentalized like that, but it share on the basis of their hard work, sincerity, dedication, commitment. And Madam mentioned about the legacy. She mentioned how Madam we all worship Rani Lakshmi Bai, great warrior. How we Madam mentioned Maitri and Gandhi as literatures. This is some photograph which we all are proud of. Lakshmi Bai, how she 16 years she fought and continuously and showed that we never lose even an inch of land. Like, these are some of the pioneers. Margaret Thatcher, known as Iron Lady, how she transformed British from almost a dead economy into one of the most thriving economies in the world. We have our own Madam Swaminathan, who is the chairperson of the World Health Organization. The way she handled the vaccination globally. We have Madam Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, how she broke the male chauvinism and transformed the German economy. So all those, apart from our own revered Her Excellency President. So many role models we all from the public life. But we have Rajmata, Scindia from Gwalior, we have Nightingale, We have Suchita Kriplani, the first woman chief minister. So all facets of public life. Right? My job is so tough that which one to include and which one not to include. So that's the Madam Kapoor will talk more on the women in management, but some of the names we all, how a lady of Punjab National Bank, CMD, after retirement started Nykaa. Nykaa is one of the largest online platforms of cosmetics. Normally after retirement, we think of babysitting of our grandkids, and there is a lady, $240 billion from 8 years. So we have Priya Lakshmi, she developed an AI-based learning platform. Sky is the limit. Why this? Because of the enabling environment. Because of the paradigm shift in the way the ladies are asserting themselves. Sports can never be something which we can think of without participation, be it Fogarts or be it Mary Kom or P.T. Usha, the legendary P.T. Usha, Singh, Nehwal, and P.V. Sandhu. Now, what is the central theme of my presentation? I started with the inequalities in education leading to inequalities in the system. And I have data to back my hypothesis. There is marked improvement in case the lady of the house is educated across all segments. It improves the education of the child, it improves the nutritional value of the food they take at home, it improves the quality of material they purchase. But all said and done, it is still a man's work. Reason is that 14%, 15% representation is not representation. And this PPT maybe little cluttered. I will outline the basics. The real issues are not in the public sector. Government can still enforce, pressurize, get the things done. It is at the private sector that the ills are more pronounced or prominent, be it in terms of maternity leaves or be it in terms of involvement them in the decision making, the hierarchy to which they can grow. We had maybe with technology those things will get over a period of time neutralized or diluted to some extent, but still the private sector needs to do a lot of things, and I think NCW must be looking at those things also. How can private sector be cajoled or forced or motivated to involve more women in the decision? Various segments of any. You start from agriculture, industry, from industry, information, products, knowledge. All of them require different skill sets. All of them require different skill sets. And all these skill sets are in abundance in a lady. Without going to a college or a school, she is still able to manage some of the most difficult tasks at home. Last year, Prime Minister put it, was presiding over the Indian Science Congress. He said that economic freedom is perhaps the most important element of women's empowerment. So we must involve them in the process of economic development, because they are very good at adopting technology. And this linkage of technology and women can certainly help India leapfrog into a Viksit Bharat 2047. That is the aim of all of us. Skip this. Contrary to public perception, we feel that teachers are more of, ladies are more into teaching. No. Only 18 to 19% of the faculties. In fact, there is a wonderful saying that those who can, they do. Right? Those who can't, they preach. They become sadhu-sant. Right? It's a big business being a seer these days. So those who can, they do. Those who can't, they preach. Those who can neither do nor preach, they teach. So I'm in the third thing. Anyway, this I will skip. This is a little funny pictograph. I got it from my friend. The complex decision making. Typical lady has to juggle through so many things. For a typical male scenario, it is yes or no. There is no gray. Male will like a black or a blue as long as it's a shade of black. They will not be able to differentiate. I'm very sure. But the complex decision making a lady has to pass. Even artificial intelligence sometimes fail there. Now look at this photograph. Right. So, what are the different levels at which decision making is typically? So, relationship level, wonderful. They will be able to decipher, limit themselves to. At the organization level, we need to work one step higher, from families to the communities, and from communities into institutions, and from institutions to general society at large. These are some of the programs which government of India has for empowering women. One is the Pradhan Mantri Matru Bandhana, that is basically the child's birth till it becomes school going. There is Ujjwala scheme, which is working women's hostels are being there. And then Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, all those things. Then you have that LPG cylinder, I think, if I'm not wrong, somewhere around 10 crore LPG cylinders distributed in the last 6-7 years. Then you have a Mudra Yojana where 30% of the loans, all loans have to be given to women enterprises. So many schemes are there. To my budding lawyers, please remember, mind is like a parachute. It works only when open. All of you may not really make a career out of the judiciary or the law services. You may start thinking of moving here or there also. Because if you have the basics of basic intelligence, then subjects are only the boundaries you create for yourself. Like, for example, my background was genetics. I don't know. From genetics, I moved to. My time, it was very easy to crack iron and Ahmedabad, so I got it. Today, I can't even think of it. Today, I can't even think of it. But in my doing after all those things, after 5 years in Glexo as factory manager, I realized it's not my problem. You never know. It's a wonderful photograph. This I got from Prime Minister Modi's website. I'm his ardent fan. So look at the way he's trying to support every little initiative which women need to further enhance their contribution toward this system. Every possible symbol of. Last 5 years, the scheme was launched in 2019. 30 crore Mudra loans have been given. So that means even if this loan has been given twice, that means 15 crore women entrepreneurs have been created. It's a huge number. And this 15 crore is more than the combined population of whole of the erstwhile Europe. That is the amount of entrepreneurship here. Our education, higher education, last 10 years, almost 30% increase. All what are these? Affirmative actions. Onus is now upon us to leverage this. Organizations also, because more diverse the scenario, better it is. Because every person must have a right of dissent. But that is a fundamental right. No matter it's covered under freedom or not. But what are the challenges we still have? I don't think highlighted it. I just surprised it. Cultural movements, moving away from the patriarchal myths. Because you do not require an AK-47 to kill a mosquito. You just need to focus on what are the problems. Second issue which we must appreciate is the thin line between work-life balance. Very, very good. Very good. Herein comes the role of male support. At the governmental level, government is providing you policy reforms, is providing you NSDC workshops, training programs, NCW conducts all these workshops. Support network is being built. Yes. Herein comes the role of municipal minorities taking care. Gender inclusive environment of nations. Equitable distribution of household responsibility. I know it's easier said than done. Yes. That is the way forward. I do a lot of teaching in class and teach there. You will not find anywhere that clear compartment that is this one. We need to change our mindsets. And, supportive to carry. In the end, last meeting, what are the skills my participants are expected to have? Please remember, skills are becoming more and more specialized. More and more and more specialized. Don't believe me? Ask your parents. In 1990s, MBBS was considered to be the highest degree. Right? From 2000s came super specialties, MDs, MS, masters. From 2010 came super specializations, MSc, MS, ENT, ear course. So from MBBS to MS to MS. A day is not far off with the support of Madam EI, right? You may say MS ENT left ear, because that is the type of specialization we have. What do you do in conciliation and arbitration? Same. I am specializing in SME. I am specializing in SME handled in the food business. I am specializing in nutraceuticals. What is nutraceutical? A branch of food industry. Food industry itself part of social industry. But please remember, skills are very disloyal. If you don't use a skill, they are gone forever. Next batch, which is much more knowledgeable than you. So onus is upon you to refine them. So there is a continuous development. Skills are always have an urgency. Skill not used today is lost. And they are easily transferable. Easily transferable. You know how we adapted our education system during COVID? India is one of the very few countries which did not have a 0 year. One of the very rarest of the rare countries which did not have a 0 year. All other countries, be it Europe, be it US, they all declared zero, except us. And please remember, person of my age, what is the typical style of teaching? Walk, talk, chalk. Am I right? March 2020 was the first time I started preparing a PPT. But today, God's grace, I think I'm failing. You understand how we have adapted. That is the resilience of Indian education. You all appeared 50,000, 1 lakh students appear for 200 or 300 civil services. And she appeared, must have at least 25 lakh must have appeared for 400 seats. Toughest exam. So that builds resilience in your system. And that gets manifested in quality of. And please remember, skills are generational. Skills which you possess. And when I say generation does not mean father, son, grandson, no. To me, generation means almost 1 decade. Maybe lower. That is the shelf life of. A typical handset is withdrawn within 6 months. And in 2010, shelf life of a mobile was 18 months. Today it is reduced to 6 months. And it is predicted that another 6 months, 1 year, it will be reduced to 5 years. 5 months. So you understand how technology enabling, changing the way you should look at things. Gone are the days of आंसर शीट उठाए पुराने 10 ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर लिए 5 क्वेश्चन बना लिए इसको. You need to adapt. Okay, thank you friends, thank you for being so patient listening. Thank you. Any questions, any comments? Still have 3 minutes. Any questions or comments? Please. No, yes please. Yeah.
You talked about the fact that representation in the government sector was small as compared to the private sector.
Yeah.
But you also use adjectives like control force as opposed to
Yes. In private for private sector. No. I maybe not getting. I said that if private sector is unable to contribute to the extent to which public sector is doing, they need to be forced. If they are not ready to accept the affirmative actions, there have to be some punitive actions. That is what the government of India has done. 1 board member mandatory for all listed companies. And from listed companies, it has to go down to SME. See, where is the challenge? Challenge is that women are not being made part of the decision. So one option which companies, especially which are not very far-sighted, what they have done is they have put their one of the family member as a female family member as a member of board. Fine. At least some action has been taken. That was my whole concern. Yes.
But the action, does it have to come from force, but not inculcation and inspiration and just pure goodwill?
No.
Because if the action is motivated out of compulsion, I don't know to which extent will it actually fructify into something that actually is productive for the nation or in general womankind, as opposed to just being done for the sake of it and not being actually.
I got your message, but maybe you did not understand the scenario in which I said. I said here is a case of public sector which is doing well. There is a case of private sector which needs to buckle up. Okay? In case they are unable to buckle up, then what is the second option? Second option is do something.
Second option is to inspire them.
That is what I said. Cajole them. Cajole means what? Please do it, yeah. Huh?
Cajole means to force them.
No. Cajole means motivate. Cajoling is not something.
I guess.
On behalf of
No. I'm not here into semantics. what I basically wanted to say was that there is a government act. One of the requirement is that for the small and medium enterprises, one member must be whole. Why
If I can just moderate this.
we are not here to argue?
Just moderate this, it's not nothing to make here. See, I get your point. What you're saying is right. What Sir meant was basically, it was just, let's not split hairs. All he meant was that maybe he should have used inspire.
You know what?
But
Make
what
the
he
whole
said
fine word.
what he said was, if after inspiration doesn't work, nothing works, then probably you'll have to force, you're a lawyer, right? So what is the punishment for a murder?
Right.
You want to inspire and do all that thing first, or you want to suggest punitive action? So it's a range of things, right? That's all. That's not getting into this. Okay.
Yeah,
Any other answer?
Yes, any other? Yeah, please.
So am I audible?
Yeah.
So, sir, when you showed us the PowerPoint presentation, and if I'm not wrong, there were a couple slides. One of the slides had a woman with more than two hands, and she can do multitasking and more than one task, and not only determined in household chores.
Yeah.
So in that particular picture, we had two hands, wherein she was holding a bottle, to which she could feed her child, and in another we had a pressure cooker. So I just want to ask you that in 2024 also, why are we, when we are talking about women empowerment in general, when we are talking about women entering into fields in which men are dominating, women are becoming CEOs and everything they aspire for, why are we still talking that they can also do household chores? I mean, we do not talk in the same way for men. I do not understand.
Okay, through with it. No, you continue. Please continue. Yes.
Yes, so that's my question, because if we are talking about inspiring women, why are we still saying that you can do this, but you can also do that? And you have to do this at any cost. You have to do the household chores, but it is your choice to aspire for something, but it is not your choice to do the household chores. It is just an obligation for you, but other things are choice. So I don't understand the analogy we draw, and I don't really understand the entire concept behind it and the so-called empowerment we try to strive for.
Please. I know it's a heated debate, so you can take us. You did not get the gist of my presentation. In the end, also, I mentioned that it is household work, and I gave you the example of some French institution. See, what was that limited photograph? It was that she is doing a multitasking activity. Right? Now, let's understand that, for example, I also do some homework, but it is not to that extent which my wife does. I'm being honest. Not that I don't want to. Many a time, see, that is where the whole process of transformation takes place. That photograph was meant basically to highlight the multifarious activities or tasks undertaken by a leader. That was the whole. It was not meant that why are you cooking? I never said that. Okay. Yes, Amrita? Yes.
Follow up to this, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
So I was not trying to point out your perspective about the PPP or about the confidence. I was just trying to point out the general status quo we have. It is not about your PPP. It is about the general status quo. It is about a broader thing. So what I wanted to say is that why do we need glorification of multitasking?
Because that is the fact of life. Tell me, am I right or wrong? Tell me, am I right or wrong? No, where is this concept of this is the job of only X and this is the job of only Y? That's what I'm saying. I don't think there is anything to dispute on. See, if I say I do multitasking, that also means the same thing. This is the extent to which you do the things. That's not. Anyway, I'm not here to argue on it. Yes. because premeditated minds also create problems. Now, I am not coming with any premeditated mind. I'm going to open up, but that's why I started my first line. Mind is like a parachute. It works only when it is open. If we are ready to accept that logic, then only it works. Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. I absolutely agree with what you're saying, and I understand that with full capacity. What people here are trying to mention is the fact that you've painted an over-optimistic picture of how women are treated in this country.
No.
Yes.
See that, please, young lady, I just said that this is the scenario which we are headed towards. I am not presenting the current state. This is what is the whole effort towards. It may take some time, maybe half a decade, maybe 1 decade. But that is what is the idealistic scenario. It is not optimistic. This is what is the idealistic scenario. Yes.
See, let's reserve everything for a panel discussion at the end. Yeah, yes. Because then the questions can be taken by anybody in the panel. All right, whoever's.
Thank you, sir, for this presentation. And grim reality of our society is the fact that still we are on our ranking in world global ranking is with respect to gender equality is 127, and slightly improved from previous year. That was 135. But in terms of even workforce, merely 37% is women. But we don't have data about again organized sector, unorganized sectors, etc. So that's the reality of our society about gender equality. Perhaps we are improving, but our approach is more oriented towards welfare. We should tilt it towards autonomy, because we require to ensure the women should decide for themselves. Equality of dignity and equality of autonomy is required, not equality of resources or equality of welfare. So we have the last speaker, Ms. Geeta Kapoor ma'am is, and she is inspiration for all young women. We are aware about as Mahatma Gandhi had the vision of moral exemplar. So ma'am is exemplar in the sense that she inspires through her work. She is the first woman ever who became director of SJVN in 2018. Huge round of applause. And she joined SJVN in 1992, again as the first female personal officer joining them. So that's why she is really exemplar and she is inspiring. We are really waiting for her address. Over to you.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I'm very, very happy to be here. But before I start, ladies, I know women are excellent at multitasking, and I think I have proved it throughout my life. But still, a humble request to all. Some eyes are glued to screens. I have watched for the last more than 1.5 hours your mobile screens, or in 1 or 2 cases even laptop screens. So may I request you to please lift your eyes and listen to us. We are all students. We all are students of life. We all experience life every minute. So we all are students, first of all. Yes. So we are one. First of all, we are one. Revered members on the dais, Madam Mrs. Meenakshi Negi, Member Secretary, National Commission for Women, Professor Dr. Chanchal Singh, Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Dr. Parimala Kancharla, I'm so sorry, I may not have pronounced your name correctly. She's an Assistant Professor, School of Computing and Electrical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi. Professor Sanjeev Sharma, Professor of Management, University Institute of Management Studies, Panjab University. My dear faculty members of National Law University and buddies, my friends, my friends and students of National Law University. First and foremost, ma'am, my gratitude, my thanks goes to Madam Meenakshi Negi for having thought of such a program for women. I must say your generation is very lucky when I say so. Because in our generation, we only had books to cling to and no more experience that could be gathered from, or no more expert faculty members addressing us or guiding us. So I'm very thankful to you, ma'am, for thinking of such a program. My thanks also goes to Professor Chanchal Singh, I think, who has arranged this entire program. I don't know how he arrived at my name, but I'm very, very, very happy and so excited to share my views with you. And so my thanks goes to you and National Law University for having me here. And see, I'm so surprised it came at such an optimum time, just a little after my superannuation. For the information of the ladies, I superannuated on 30th April, very recently from SJVN, Director Personnel with an additional charge of CMD SJVN. And I'm very happy. So it really came at a very appropriate time because I'm sure if it had come prior to 30th April, maybe I would not have been in a position to accept because my own job was so overwhelming and so occupying that it was very difficult to spare any time. So thanks a lot, Professor. Thanks a lot, ma'am. And thanks a lot to Sanjeev Sharma, sir, also for sharing such valuable insights. Now, before I go ahead with my presentation, ladies, I proudly announce, ma'am, I would refer to you, as you said, who are feminists. I proudly announce that feminism is an ideology. And I, as a woman, perfectly and completely subscribe to it. And I don't even feel a minute not to explain. May I go to my presentation now? Kindly put it on. We are born in a patriarchal society. Everybody mentioned that. May I know what is the patriarchal society? But the answer I want from somebody in the last row. What is the patriarchal society? Anyone from the last row? See, my emphasis and focus, like Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, will be on the last row because I myself have graced that row throughout my life. So, may I have, what is a patriarchal society? From members on the last row, anyone?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Greetings, ma'am. It's an honor to have you here. Patriarchal society, according to me, is a society that has been dominated by men from a very long period of time, and where women have been suppressed in ways that they have not been able to do what they want to, in order to raise their voice, in order to do the job they want to, in order to be the way they want.
Right. See, as women, that is the way we look at it, right? But let's understand what exactly patriarchal society means. We all were born in patriarchal society, no doubts, absolutely, that men call the shots and women were relegated to the background. It is because men were seen as leaders of the family, right? And when they were seen as leaders of the family, they had the responsibility to fend for the family, right? So when that responsibility was solely assigned to the males, the women, they took up these soft jobs, right? They took up these soft jobs, which we term, they became homemakers. Rather, homemakers, I would say, is a very recent origin. I personally feel they are great homemakers. They are the one who make homes from houses, and they are great at it. But earlier, they were housewives, relegated with the domain of cooking, maybe taking care, and that's what was their domain. We have come a long way, and we are all very happy that we have come a long way. But we need to understand this in the right perspective. That is my focus. I, as a student of MSc Engineering, see, I should say that all females as on date who have occupied positions on the board or in public life positions of strength or positions where they can call the shots have been a saga of grit, courage, and perseverance, and with the support of parents who had a vision. I see that I was born in 1964, and in 1984, when I declared that I was a student of MSc Chemistry, but I declared that no, I'm not pursuing my MSc Chemistry anymore. And I'm going to take up something else which excites me. MSc is not exciting me at all. And I'm very glad and I'm very thankful to my parents who, without raising an eyebrow, said, we really don't know what you are going ahead with, but please fulfill your dreams. Go ahead. So I salute those parents. So women, if they have come to this extent today, it is with the support of parents. And when I say parents, our males are also there. Please understand, our male as fathers, our males as brothers, they are also there who supported us. So let's not create compartments. A beautiful society is one where we respect each other, talents, and where we support each other in every kind of an endeavor. It's not at all ladies, men versus ladies. No, it is not at all. It is companionship. It is partnership in all that we do. I always maintain that like it is said that behind every successful male there is a female. And so I'm sure all of you have heard that phrase. I always say that behind every successful female, there is a supportive family, there are supportive siblings, there are others who come to her rescue as and when needed. So it is no compartments, men and women. It is a society which we look forward to, where we grow as partners. Both are able to encash on their talents, capitalize on their skills. So let's look at the society in that perspective is my take. I hope you all agree. How many people agree? Wow, that's a great number. We are looking forward to great times. Since so many of us agree to this concept, we're surely looking forward to great times. With my presentation now, the first slide, I would like to reflect first and foremost on the industries with the highest female employees. Information technology takes the lead with 34%. When I talk of information technology, I am sure that one name strikes you all. Which is that name which strikes each one of us? Anyone? Yes? Pardon? Yeah, Sudhamurthy, yes, is one name that strikes us. I'm very happy to share that TCS today takes the lead with about 2.1 lakh women. Infosys, like Ma'am Sudhamurthy, she's one of the co-founders with her husband, has about 1.25 lakh women. And Wipro boasts of about 90,000 women. We have textiles. This is driven by the fashion brands. And number 3 is customer services. When I talk of financial services, one name that really rings in my mind is Ranjana Kumar. She was credited with the recognition of becoming the first chairperson and MD of any public sector bank. And this bank was Indian Bank. Thereafter, followed by, we have Sharma, who was the CEO of Axis Bank. She's a postgraduate from Ahmedabad. And today, India's largest bank, HDFC, is also headed by Shamala Gopinath. She also a woman. So these are ladies from whom we do get inspired, right? And then healthcare, doctors. Doctor has been a very, I would say, favorite profession with women. I myself once also appeared in the BMT. I was doing my BSc with biology, and I appeared once, though I would say not very sincerely. And but doctors was one profession that parents always thought of for the girls, and seeds were planted many, many decades ago. And in healthcare, we see women. We see women in beauty, that is their domain, and telecommunications, entertainment, and publication. Next. Ladies, here I want you to have a look at these figures. These are the figures which I have collected from one of the very recent newspapers. This was a survey by which was survey which was facilitated by Executive Assist Research, 4 times of India. The maximum hires in the executive leadership in financial year 24, it has been 52% has been in corporate communications, right? Journalism, PR, TV, media, that's what corporate communications relate to. And my field, it has been 33%. So I joined this field about 30 years back, more than 30 years. I think total I have around more than 40 years of experience. Still, we have reached 33 in this field. And in marketing, 25, and risk and compliance, 19, CFOs 8, and sales 7, tech and digital 6. Next slide. Women participation in corporate sector. The topic given to me was women in corporate arena. So let's reflect on that. Today, 1.6% of companies in Fortune 500's India's list, mind you, I'm as of now referring to the India's list, are led by women. In the case of the next 500 companies, we have about 5%. So the figures are not very encouraging. If we go to the world averages, as even Sir Professor Sanjeev Sharma referred to US economy many times, for decades, the Fortune 500 list included only 2 women. As recently as 2000, only 4 women led Fortune 500 companies. And it is only in the year 2023 that 53 women are leading from Fortune 500 companies. So one round of applause for the fair sex who are really taking us. You know, see, what happened was that women and business were not really known of. We as children, we had never seen, we women even running a pawn shop or even a small shop. Whereas within our country, if we talk of the Northeast, you'll see women, it's a matriarchal society where women call the shots. They have been introduced to business right from childhood. So in the North specifically, I would say, the women and business was not an acceptable norm for quite some time. So as per the World Economic Forum Gender Gap Report 2022, India ranked 135th. Just now it was said that we have come to the position of 127 maybe, out of 146 countries, and was behind small neighbors such as Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Nepal. Next slide, please. The latest results of periodic labor force released in October 23 show considerable increase in women participation. May we go to the next slide, please? I think, okay. I think we have missed one. Go back. Yeah, that's right. In the year 2017-18, it was 23%, and now the figure touches 37% for the year 22-23. And the contribution of women in Indian GDP is only 18% as of today. Ma'am also mentioned more than 50% of the population. Can we afford to miss on their skills? Can we afford to miss on their talent if we want to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025? No way, we just cannot miss on it. So I would say it is an economic compulsion, it is a social compulsion, and any other which you would say. When we are more than 50%, we are being underrepresented. When we go see the figures, they are not very encouraging. They are very underrepresented is what I personally feel. Next, please. It was earlier mentioned also, the policy initiatives were taken. Some policy initiatives were introduced, like the Companies Act was amended to incorporate the requirement of 1 women director on the board in the year 2013. So this is in the year 2013, and 10 years later, in a recent study, we see that in spite of the fact that this is a mandatory requirement, only 43% of the companies reported one female director. And when we talk of the second, it is only the figure plunges to 11%. And this is the number, but when we see reports, when we see studies, companies with more gender diversity in their executive board were more profitable. Time has proved. 2 years following the appointment of a female CEO saw a 20% increase in the stock price. So there is no doubt that women can contribute in a very, very healthy way. Business has proved, figures do stand testimony to this. When we talk of the judiciary, because since all of you are law graduates, I thought it is very important to share these figures with you. And the news, the good news is, the Supreme Court has directed minimum 1/3 women reservation in Supreme Court Bar Association post from the year 24-25 elections. So that's really good news for all of us. I'm sure you all are aware that out of the 35 Supreme Court judges, there are just 3 females. 60s, 70s, 80s, no women judge in the Supreme Court. The first time we saw a women judge in the Supreme Court is the year, anybody? Is the year 1989. Until date, it has been only 11, right? We have names that we take with real pride. Honorable Justice Hima Kohli, Honorable Justice B.V. Nagarathana, and more. If we talk locally in HP High Court, we have Jyotsna Remadua, to whom many ladies look up to. We have had women voices in the Supreme Court, and one which I can recall and with much pride is Harim Bose, she was the only, this is Indu Malhotra. She was the only lone dissenter in the Parimala case, which she said what constitutes an essential religious practice and is for the religious community to decide, unless and until it is the social evil or oppressive. She gave a dissent note, and so we have women who have had their voices heard. The journey is hard. Women have to make their way through. See, but what is important is that let's not get entangled into trivial issues. Sometimes I would like to give you an example. If there is a crowd of people studying at one place, say we have 20, 30 people studying, and a woman is to make her way through them. One way is that the moment she enters, she takes up a quarrel, right? So she has totally lost focus of where she wanted to go. She ends up fighting with others that why she has not been given the way, why sufficient space has not been provided. That is one way. You do not reach anywhere with this kind of a focus. You have to focus on the end. You have to focus on the last state. And in that focus, several small battles need to be just, forgotten. Life is like a boxing ring. You will be hit left, right, square, up and down. But finally, you can be the winner only after those hits. Am I right? A boxer wins only after taking a lot many hits in a ring. Am I right, girl ladies? May I have your hands when I say so? So life is not kind. May I have your hands up? Do you agree? Right? Yes. So don't lose your focus. Don't lose your focus. Be focused on where you want to be 10 years ahead. Be focused on where you want to be 20 years ahead. May I have the next slide? When we talk of women in the corporate sector, I think the talk is absolutely incomplete if some names are not really referred to. They have been my inspiration, and there will be inspiration for hundreds of ladies who will be joining in the corporate sector. She's Madam Indira Nooyi, the former chairperson and CEO of PepsiCo. She held that post for 12 years, ladies. And there are very, very few instances where CEOs hold posts for such a long time. She was a recipient of the Padma Bhushan. the third highest civilian award today and is credited with doubling the company's income during her tenure from two and diversifying the company's portfolio. She headed a company of $150 billion, 260,000 employees. Next, this name was also mentioned by Professor Sanjeev Sharma. It is Kiran Majumdar Shah, a Padma Shri awardee. Kiran Majumdar Shah's trailblazing journey from studying fermentation science to finding Biocon India. Under her leadership, Biocon evolved as a leading biopharmaceutical company with a focus on critical areas such as diabetes and oncology. And one name, which is a household name, may I have the next slide, is Falguni Nair. Falguni Nair, a household name today, initially an investment banker, today a famous fashion brand, Nykaa with excellent services and production line. Next slide. See, when I say so, what is more important is that I come to you with how the organizations have evolved, how the corporates have evolved. Ladies, it's good news for all of us, that corporates have done their bit. But it is to be viewed in the right perspective. There are several initiatives to promote diversity. There are several initiatives to promote and create a diverse leadership pipeline, a more inclusive environment. As I told you, as was already also read in my biodata, I was the first women personal officer to join the company. Today, SJVN has about 10% women, though for me, again, I would say that is a not very satisfying number. But at times, I hold women also responsible, for which I'll come to later. But for the time being, I will talk about what the corporates have done. A transparent recruitment process where meritocracy is awarded. It is totally transparent. When I talk of public sectors, there are more than 250 public sectors in India. They are, for public sector, I can vouch for. We have gender neutral promotions, fair performance evaluation, work-life balance initiatives like flexible working hours, and work from home has surely done wonders for many females now. Post-COVID period, we have accepted it as a norm more than an exception. We have childcare leave, we have parental leave. Now, why see, there is no denying a woman has to fight harder. She has to fight harder because she has to prove herself, We were not blessed with that kind of a leadership. Like, see, what I said in a patriarchal society was men or the male gender was blessed with that kind of a position in the society. That was gifted to them. That was there with them. We have to make our way out. So we have to work harder. There is no denying. But sometimes, some of the problems I would like to share with you, which I myself experienced as director personnel. Director HR, we call it, or personnel in our employment offers. In public sectors, child care leave has been introduced for 2 years, right? The objective being to facilitate women to come back, maybe if they take it at the start when the child is born, come back to work life and take their course again. The objective being that. But what happened? When the child care leave was introduced, it was allowed to females up to the till the time their children were 18 years, right? From 0 to 18 years. But we did experience in office that women with children of age 18 years and 17 years felt that because now there is very little time left to will the leave, I should be on leave. And that was not childcare leave. See, you have to maintain your credibility. I personally felt very pained We erode our own credibility ourselves. We are responsible. When you see women leaving Shimla, because Shimla is very cold in winters, and wearing childcare leave only for the reason to be away from Shimla for 2 months, it pains the seniors. It pains the decision makers. Right? So, I fully agree that initiatives have been taken, but to avail those initiatives in the right perspective, it is on we women. We have to look at ourselves. We have to look at our choices that we make. We have to look at, because it is those choices which determine where we go. So, I would earnestly request one and all that in spite the fact that facilities are being provided, let's fight as equals. Let's fight as equals like any, like ma'am said, male, female and others. Let's be equals. Let's use facilities only when needed. I, when joined the corporate sector, we were allowed only 360, we were allowed only 90 days maternity leave as per the Maternity Benefit Act, and that's all. Our children also came up. I have a son, I have a daughter, well read, both well settled. So I remember once EGM came to me. She was at the rank of an AGM, and she said that my son will be appearing for 12th and it is very critical, I need leave. I said, perfectly fine. How many days will the exams go by? She says, about 20 days. I said, fine. You go for leave for a month or 25, 30 days. I think that's enough. But she says, no, ma'am, childcare is allowed only minimum 2 months. And so she chooses to be away from office for more than 2 months. So women, so again I say, be responsible for your credibility. Because then when you get assessed and fairly assessed, I call it absolute fair assessment. Then when you get assessed and fairly assessed, you have nobody to blame. See, as on date, the workplaces, we have 3 generations, right? I give this example many times because it is very important for us to understand them as those who are joining afresh. We still have those at very senior decision-making positions who belong to the generation of baby boomers, right? We have, like me, born around 1964, from 50 to 60s, they were addressed as baby boomers. They had very different ethics. They had very different morals, right? We have the Generation X, and now we see the millennials. You belong to that generation, most probably. Those born between 1980 to 1996, you are a little younger, I would say, Zoomers rather, who will be entering the workforce, bringing an entirely different perspective, an entirely different set of ethics and morals. I don't say they are incorrect. No, I'm not raising any finger. I'm not raising any doubt that the principles that they want to lead their life by are wrong. Not at all. But be aware that your seniors still belong to those past generations. And to be in office and be well recognized, you will have to necessarily look into their point of view. Kindly pardon me, I like to give an example of this hall. I'm not raising a finger. I'm not taking, but just an example. I saw a girl, she was very busy on the laptop for most of the time when we were addressing. Maybe she had something very urgent, no problems at all. Maybe she had very urgent. And if I were in her place, at least, or what I would expect from my juniors in my office, that if it was very urgent, they could have choose to stay away. Right? It is not by, and see, the question is not, is it right or wrong? No. But in the language of that generation, which is there in office today leading you, and who are at the helm of the affairs, it is disrespect. It gets termed as disrespect. So you live by your principles, no problems at all. But don't lose sight of the fact that corporates are still being run by people of the previous generation. Maybe 20 years ahead, things will change. The millennials will be at the decision-making levels, and will bring, and that kind of perspective will be easily absorbed by them. But incidentally, today there is a conflict. And we need to understand it in the right perspective. See, I myself, I'm very punctual. I was mentioning to Dr. Chanchal Sharma also that I have a habit that if I have to reach at 9, I should make it by 8:45. It is not that what am I doing? Nothing. I'm respecting time. Because time respects you when only you respect time. I'm respecting time, that's all. So let's see our empowerment. Let's see our moving ahead in the right perspective. That is very, very important. Let's view it in the right perspective. We are not at loggerheads with our male counterparts. We are not trying to prove ourselves as different. No, we want to be treated equally. And to be treated equally, we need to deliver equally. That's very important. To be treated equally, we need to deliver equally. That's the way I have led my life. I remember when I joined my company, SJVN, it was a Sunday. I was very fresh, about with 6-7 years experience. And my senior and chief HR level said that this work is very urgent. It is to be done on a Sunday. But no problems, ma'am. You can take care of your children. You have very small children. I'll get it done. But just tell me who will be able to do it. I said, no, I'll do it. I imagine me taking up work that somebody else has to do and has not been able to do. I love to take that up also. But me imagining that my work has to be offloaded to someone else is not my types. It's not. It's my responsibility. I am required to deliver and I will deliver. Irrespective of the fact whether it falls on a Sunday, a public holiday, or unless and until, of course, unless and until it's very urgent at home. Not a novelty at home. It's very urgent, where I'm needed much more than I'm needed in office, right? So that choice has to be made by you, buddies. That choice has to be made by you. Never allow your credibility to be eroded. Now, I come to the constraints, please. According to the World Bank data from 2021, approximately 31% of women in India drop out of the workforce for various reasons, particularly in the formal sector, childbirth and associated responsibilities. Here I would like to say, this is where I say that we are not looking at a women's world alone. We are looking at a world where men and women collectively support all responsibilities at home or in office. So there may be reasons for the first few months the women to stay at home, but thereafter the responsibility should be shared like partners. That is the world we are looking at. See, in the audience there was a girl. I do not mean any. She said that she was not very comfortable with the picture of multitasking, with one hand a bottle feeding the child. Feeding the child is necessary, we get it, we all agree. When we give birth, we have the responsibility to feed, but that responsibility can be shared. It can be both feeding at times as convenient to each one of them, yes. So that is the world I think that we are looking at, right? Because see, empowerment needs to be understood in the right sense. We don't want to feel empowered where families are breaking up, right? Women are walking their way, men are walking their way. If that is empowerment, no, it is not. That is not empowerment. We are responsible for raising families. We need to do it collectively. We need to support each other. At times, there may be at times, women may have to take a break for a very small while, but then again, they need to be supported to come back with a bang. Right? So let's see it in the right perspective. That's what I feel. Mental barriers not only of the men we are talking of. We women have our own mental barriers. See, I'm very happy that you understood this and you subscribe to this. See, because when ma'am said that how many of you are feminists, there were very one or two hands who were short and the rest were very reluctant. Why? We haven't, transcended our own mental barriers. We do not understand it in the right perspective. It is very important that we understand what we want. And it is very important that we understand it in terms of how to get ahead in our lives and in our families together. Right? So we are binded by our own mental barriers. We are very afraid of getting judged. Are you not? Most of the females I have experienced in life are very afraid of getting judged. They may not sit for a cup of tea because they fear judgment by others. You are answerable to yourself, and that's it. You are not responsible or answerable to anybody else for your conduct. And if you are on the right track, don't worry, be deaf. I personally sometimes say one has to be deaf to so many things. Small things have to just be shaken off and let off to march ahead. Right? Work-life integration, I have already addressed. Collectively, we need to support families. Collectively, we need to support each other. And networking. There are so many jobs I find that women say we cannot take it up because it involves a lot of travel, it involves a lot of networking. Why? Why so? Who has created these barriers? Who has defined it for you, what you can do and what you cannot? Like Sir said, mind works only when it is open like a parachute. It does not work when it is closed. Don't close yourself to any limitations which were defined 10 years, 20 years, 40 years back. There are no limitations. Find solutions. Find solutions. Where there is the problem, there is a solution. I worked throughout my life in a corporate sector. More than 12 hours job, it meant most of the times, especially at senior level. But yes, at home, I was taking care of my own parents, my mother, my father. I was taking care of my husband's mother and father. All seniors were at my place together. And I used to enjoy it thoroughly, not because it was very comfortable. It can't be when you have so two conflicting interests, because I felt I was doing my duty. That's it. It was never comfortable. But I was happy because I see it as a responsibility to take care. We are just two sisters. We don't have a brother, so our parents are entirely our responsibility, and so are the parents of my husband. All four of them were there. By God's grace, all four of them, we had problems every evening maybe, but what I drew my happiness from was the focus. That yes, my focus was, I was delivering my responsibility. So before closing my eyes, I was happy. Then forget the brawls, forget the conflict. I was delivering what I was expected to do. I've done that. And that's it. So, again, I would say it is a matter of mindset. Look for solutions. Solutions are available. To every problem, there is n+1 solution. N is the number of solutions you have tried and you have failed. 1 is the number of solutions, is the solution you have to still try. Still embrace. So every problem has a solution. All the focus has to be correct. Where you want to go, what you aim at. That is what I believe. Here, ladies, I thought from my journey of more than 4 decades in the corporate sector, I have drawn an acronym for you so that you could easily develop. Here I am referring to the capabilities that need to be acquired by all women. Capabilities that you should work on day one. See, I became a CMD. When I say so, I give the credit to my parents, right? I give the credit to my parents. But it goes by the Chinese proverb. The first right day to plant the tree was those 30 years back, but the second best day is today. So build on these capabilities, irrespective of the fact where life takes you, in which field you go to corporates, you shine in public life, or any other profession. Build on these capabilities to remember, I said, I see 6, 6C raised to the power 6, I see 6. Anybody who can repeat it? What is the acronym? Yeah, I see C to the power 6. I is integrity. अगर नियत अच्छी हो तो नसीब कभी बुरा नहीं. First and foremost, remember, अगर नियत अच्छी हो तो नसीब कभी बुरा नहीं होता. I myself, I'm a very strong believer of the fact that it is you who decides what kind of a life you want. And the universe is very fair. You give the universe a fair deal through your thoughts, through your emotions, right? Those are the vibrations you give to the universe. The universe is very fair. The universe gives it back to you, maybe in abundance. So believe in yourself. Integrity is the first. Second is curiosity. Why I say curiosity? Sometimes solutions may not lie in the traditional solutions you've already tried upon. So maybe you have to do some out-box thinking, out of the box. So look for solutions outside. Be curious, you will find solutions. Creativity, as I said, one needs to be creative in life throughout, whether it is at home, whether it is in office. Things are available. All you need to do is grab them. Courage. I think time is ticking off a little faster. Maybe I will go a little faster. So build on your confidence. Build on your communication skills, written and verbal. Be sure what you want, first of all. See, one thing is very important, and I have learned it from my seniors. That is, it's either you know what you want in life. That is one way of doing. That you know what you want in life. Or others will decide what you want. So it is you who have to take the lead. It is you know what you want, then others will follow. But if you don't know what you want in life, others will decide it for you. Never give them that privilege. That privilege is ours. It is for us to exercise, for us. Here, I thought it really appealed to me, so I thought I'll present it to you. Be a bee. What do I mean by be a bee? See, the bee's body is very heavy in the center, right? We all have seen a bee. The body is very, very heavy in the center. And it has very frail and very small wings, right? Aerodynamically, by all principles of science, by all principles of physics, a bee should not be able to fly. The wings are too small to carry the body. But a bee flies because, like a human being, bee is not aware of its limitations. It flies. So, be a bee. Just move out. Just step out. The limitations will take their own course. Next, please may I have the next slide. See, one thing that really pains me today, I've seen it around me. Newspapers show you every day hundreds and hundreds of precious lives being lost at a very young age. Why is that so? It is because I think we have to yet learn how to deal with failures. So I thought it is very important that I need to address this. Maybe I have very little time, but still I will. Failing in business at the age of 21, being defeated in a legislative election at the age of 22, overcoming the death of a sweetheart at the age of 26, losing the congressional races at the ages of 34 and 36, losing the senatorial race at the age of 45 and again at the age of 49, losing the race for the vice president post at the age of 52. May I have the next slide? Who is this? Anybody from the audience? Who is the person I'm talking of? Yes, it is Abraham Lincoln. All these events, which to a common man would seem like failure, were to Abraham Lincoln a stepping stone to a future that he passionately dreamt of. So, ladies, believe in the beauty of your dreams. Dreams become reality when you are passionate, when you are focused. One of the most productive failures in the history was the failure of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi to become a successful advocate in Rajkot and Mumbai. Just imagine, if he had become a successful advocate, he could not have become the father of the nation, right? So no failure defines you. There is nothing in this life known as failure. They are stepping stones to success. Maybe what you were trying, you were not made for that. Maybe you are made for something else. Explore. A very famous quote of Dalai Lama, which I keep very close to my heart, and I express it many times, that sometimes what you want in life does not happen the way you want. It may be a stroke of luck. Just keep your eyes, ears, and mind open. It may be a stroke of luck. After clearing my MSc and MPhil, I could have been a professor. It was a perfectly accepted career. But I didn't do that. It was a stroke of luck. Today, I retired as a CMD of a listed company. So give life time. Give life time. Give your dreams a little patience. Maybe you change your dreams also when needed. You can take a different course anytime in your life. So, no failure defines you. Understand this. No failure defines you. Next slide, please. Next, please, we'll come to this. One mantra I would like to give to you, because I thought it's again very easy to remember. Ask principle. I call it the ask principle. Ask the universe. Ask the Almighty God. Ask what you want. Ask from the universe. Deserve from the universe. You have to deserve it. Only then will it be delivered. Only then it will be manifested. Ask. And when I say ask, it is A for attitude, S for skill and knowledge. And the skill, of course, in your proper domain, as Sir said, skills are the greatest liars. Very easily they fade away. Well, very easily they become irrelevant. You may have to upgrade them every now and then. Knowledge, of course, of your particular domain, but the most important is your attitude. Ma'am, again, it's a donkey here. I would have drawn an example of a donkey. When I talk of attitude, एक छोटी सी story है. Next slide. The chapter of positivity from a donkey. Right? Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. Right? Next slide. We can easily learn the story of positivity from a donkey. Yeah. Please stay on this. One day, a farmer's donkey fell down into a well. The animal cried piteously. गिरेगा तो रोएगा ही. सब रोते हैं जब गिरते हैं. Piteously for hours, as the farmer tried to figure out what to do. Finally, he decided the animal was old and the well needed to be covered up. कोई खास purpose ना well serve कर रहा था और ना donkey serve कर रहा था. So why not? It's not worth retrieving the donkey anymore. Next slide. Next, yeah. He invited all his neighbors to come over and help him because पानी ना कुएं में था और डोंकी भी ओल्ड हो गया था तो दोनों का कोई यूज नहीं था तो बेल्ट उठाए they grabbed a shovel and they started pushing dirt into the well. A few shovel loads later, the farmer finally looked into the well. He was astonished. He was totally taken aback, amazed. Initially, the donkey cried. जब पहली बार उसके ऊपर मिट्टी गिरी, the donkey cried. But soon he realized कि रोने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. Situation is there. It has to be dealt. What the donkey did, उसने अपने ऊपर से घूम घूम के मिट्टी झाड़नी शुरू की. The donkey was doing something amazing. He would shake it off and take a step up. Next slide, please. As the farmer neighbors continued to shovel dirt, every time he would shake the dirt off. So, shake the dirt off and move ahead. Pretty soon, everyone was amazed as the donkey stepped up over the edge of the well and happily walked off. That's needed. Next, please. So, life is going to shower dirt on you. Life is not kind. Life is beset with many challenges. Some that we are aware of, some that we may not be aware of and may be taken by surprise. All kinds of dirt. The trick to getting out of the well is to shake it off and take a step up. Each of our troubles is a stepping stone. We can get out of the deepest wells just by not stopping, never giving it off. Shake it off and take a step up. See, one strength grows when we dare is my last slide. Please to my last slide. Here I will say that I am convinced women are like tea bags. Why do I say so? Women are like tea bags. Why do I say so? Anybody? Anybody from the audience? Women are like tea bags. Their strength is known only when they are in hot water. Yes? So each one of you, you are a storehouse of potential. You are a storehouse of strength. Try yourself. You'd love it. You will be amazed at the results. The results will be not much beyond what you had dreamt of. I have seen in my life. I have taken every opportunity as a challenge. That is the way you go ahead. Every opportunity brings with it a challenge. Embrace the challenge and move forward. 3 cheers for all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I don't think any word would be appropriate to describe her compassionate, inspiring address. And I wish you may have some question.
Yes, please. Very good afternoon, ma'am. Before I go ahead with my question, I would like to take this moment. I'd like to take this moment to say it loud here that I am one of the active proponents of the belief that one of the cardinal qualities of leadership is professional competence.
Yes.
And having that said, I'd like to congratulate you for a very competent and very befitting address to the distorted understandings of feminism, professionalism, inhibitions within the corridors of this world. Thank you so much for setting this stage right.
Thanks a lot.
Ma'am, coming to my question, we delve deep into the concept of child care leave. I again would like to congratulate the corporate sector for being the first in introducing corporate child care creche services. Now, with that being said, even the justice institutions like High Court have not made that move yet. So I'd really like to congratulate corporate sector. However, do you feel, ma'am, that if every company, because you yourself have been in a listed company, if every company propelled with this vision of childcare creches, it might be helpful in the exploitation we just discussed regarding the childcare leaves. Moreover, it might give employment opportunities and it might be an investment for a company which will not compromise with efficiency of females. And again, the stock market will be in the boom. Do you think this vision?
Yeah, I think so. Because, see, we are there to facilitate. That is the role of the corporates or any other system of that kind. They should be there to facilitate. But again, use it optimally, use it fairly. That is very important. See, I've seen corporates who had introduced restrooms at one point of time, and then they were forced to close them. Because any facility where it is given sometimes gets misused beyond imagination, and you are left with no other option but to withdraw. And I feel pained. I say we are there to introduce facilities, we should. Some tasks are not humanly possible for 12 hours, we should. But it is on us to see to it that we use it fairly. Only as limited.
Thanks.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Thank you for taking up my question, ma'am. Initially, you had mentioned in your speech that suppose there is a set of 25 men, we're not supposed to fight with them, we're rather supposed to focus on the objective. So on that point, I just wanted to ask that even if we overwork, even it has been researched that in some industries, women work more than men, and yet they are underpaid. So if we don't fight for those women who have their own rights, then who is supposed to fight for them?
I think again, I need to be understood in the right perspective. There are ways of fighting. There is a way of fighting. Now, if you're fighting for the rights of a woman, you need to fight at the level or at the forum, which makes a difference. But if you start fighting with the crowd which you were to cross and go ahead with, it's not opens. They are not the decision makers. They don't make the policy. They don't make any change. They are not the ones given the responsibility to make change. So where to fight, when to fight, and how to fight. It's very important to understand that.
Just as
you should surely fight.
Ma'am, for instance, as you said, we are supposed to focus on the objective. So if we even take up the working class of the laborers, their basic goal is to provide for their family, right? And yet, more than 33% of women are underpaid. They do not have the resources to go ahead and fight. If we go to the people who are setting their salary, for instance, if these are the very people who are suppressing them, then what are we supposed to do if we do not?
See, एक ना मुझे एक ना प्यार बड़ी ही अजीज है मुझे बहुत अजीज है. Every morning I used to remind myself of that prayer. Go to Google. It is known as the Serenity Prayer. What it says is, see, God give me the strength to fight or to motivate that change or bring that change which I can, right? But and give me the wisdom to surrender when I should. And most importantly, give me the wisdom to differentiate between the two. Right? So one should really know at what level what makes a difference and what doesn't. Because if you're hitting your head against the wall all the time, it won't make a difference at all, irrespective of the fact how much pained you are. There are so many things we are pained about. Like you said, that laborers, they get underpaid, whereas they do more work as compared to the men. But then where that difference has to be made, it can be made only then. It's no idea going and fighting with the contractor that he will not do it. So it is very important for us to realize what change we can initiate, what change we cannot, and why we cannot. Be a part of the change where you can do something. It's no idea banging your head against a wall all the time. Right? It doesn't make a difference to anyone. वो लेबर को तो पैसे मिल गए दिन के उतना ही बहुत है. उसके घर का चूल्हा जल जाएगा. Getting my point? आपकी किसी बात से अगर उसने उसको निकाल दिया, वो कहीं की नहीं रहेगी. So you better know where to make a difference. What is the need of the hour? What does that laborer want? So you have to see where you need to knock the door. It is very important to see where you need to knock.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaskar, ma'am. I'm Hansika Sarabhi, pursuing in the first year. So, as you stated about the word patriarchy, aligning it with the men's dominance over women. So, in the documentary called A World Before Her, Durga Vahini camp was organized, and the women instructor stated that why is it necessary for women to leave the houses and get the career? Also, Jacobin leader called Chomet, she also stated that men have been given the duties by the nature to hunt, and the women have been given the duties by the nature to just work in a household. So I would like to ask that why is it always men and women? Why not women and women? Because women can also be patriarchal. Thank you.
That is true, absolutely right. That is true. It's an individual take. It's an individual take. And picture में भाई जिसमें वो the actor was what was the name of the movie? Yeah, जिसमें वो घर पे the man had taken up the responsibilities and she was taking up a career because her career was much better than the man's. So I think it is for individuals to decide. But ये men women खत्म हो जाना चाहिए. Man ने ये करना है, women ने ये करना है, man ने ये करना है, women ने ये करना है. जो जिसमें अच्छा है वो करे ना. और जो जिसकी abilities better कर सकती है और जो better way में कर सकता है उसको करने देना. Right? That's what we're looking at.
To third question. Now, philosophy as well as ethical studies science also proves that when a child is born, irrespective of the sex, its nature is neither male nor female. It's Japan, as you all know, in classes we discuss it. So, whether you are, there is a story, and it's a story we're talking about in the context of principle which we are going to learn. That's the same way human mind works, or human nature works as the generating technology or AI technology. If you are going to fight the monster, you are going to adopt the principles of those which has dichotomized, regimented humanity in an unequal or repressive way, or domination and suppression way. Then the things are not going to improve. We have to come out of that structure that edifies, regimentation, commodification, and we have to think what is the neutral principle, especially to you, man. Man's entire speech is based on one, for me, passion. And it's the passion philosophy says, particularly that only passion can create knowledge. The strength cannot generate new creations. And this is the first virtue of the humanity. We lose, no?
Even Hegel said only passion is the true seed of liberty. See, liberty is not possible without passion. Thank you, sir. Yes, any other question?
Geeta, please answer to someone else.
Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, with due respect, I personally think that your presentation, while focusing on the corporate sector, was little biased or little tilted towards the women who have a little edge or women who have little privilege in the corporate sector, be it financially, be it from their families, or be it the way they've grown up, be it the way they can actually perform. But you have also mentioned that women do have their own mental barriers. But in corporate sector, there are women who have a little less edge as compared to their male counterparts. So my question to you is, do you feel that women who face more mental barriers with a lot of physical psychological barriers should be given more relaxation in comparison to their male counterparts?
See, relaxation is one thing they will look for that. Because, see, जब promotions की DBC बैठती है ना, तो उस वक्त कोई फीमेल इसको बाय नहीं करती कि मेरे को इसलिए नहीं प्रमोट किया जा रहा because I could not deliver as much as the other person could, you know. So it's a very competitive world. We never look for relaxation. Facilitators, mentors are there in corporates also and in life also, but relaxations cannot be, you know, given because they have hired a human being. They have hired a person, you know, more than a woman. See, अभी भी तक हम उस dilemma से नहीं निकले कि हम male leaders और women leaders. हमें हमारी जो journey है, उसका goal है leaders, irrespective of males and females.
I truly understand and respect your views, but when I talk about relaxation, it's not any other kind of relaxations, but small things that are like menstrual leaves or some other ways that corporate can introduce to women.
Yeah, ये थोड़ा सा difficult है because see, leave defined है जैसे child care leave ज़्यादा मिलती है women को 2 साल की मिलती है जब भी ले लें till the age of 18 years of the child husband अगर वो working है उसको 15 दिन की मिलती है तो वो differentiation है जो लिखी हुई है किताब available है manually beyond that नहीं मिलती relaxations. See, this question, I just like to answer this. If you look at the research that is there in the public domain, or even the articles which are coming up in the newspapers these days, or articles, you find that this harping on leave all the time is actually working to the disadvantage of women. Now, hirers are wary of hiring women. They feel, you know, child care leave chali jayegi, फिर menstrual leave chali jayegi, फिर ये leave chali jayegi. So it is actually disadvantaging women who are already disadvantaged. Okay, women like us who are sitting in positions of power could possibly get it also. But look at those women who want to enter the workforce and will be discriminated against. So when we say things, we have to be very careful about this and how it's going to impact people. And your students and lawyers, you're going to be lawyers. So you look for solutions. So I'll just bring one point more here is that the National Commission for Women, we are doing we do research studies. And I would actually invite the HPNLU to submit research studies to us on any of these subjects. So when you delve deeper into the subject, when you start researching it, when you start talking to people, whether it is women laborers or it is menstrual leave or something, you will realize that it is not your point of view which is the dominant point. There are so many other aspects to it. So I would invite you to look into our website. We have these. For this year, we have 2 research topics. One is the impact of the 73rd and 74th Amendment on women's participation. So one of the gaps which we have found is that it's probably just a lesser study. You know the 73rd and 74th Amendment, which gave a reservation to women in PRIs and local bodies. So what has happened after that? You know how the seats are reserved in the local bodies. They are on rotation. So if a seat is reserved this year, it will not be reserved after 5 years. It will go to some other seat will get reserved. So when the seat is reserved, suddenly a woman is going to get elected. Whether it is the wife of a sarpanch, former sarpanch, or somebody or the other, that woman will get elected for the first time once. Now we need to understand whether that woman gets elected the second time when the seat is not reserved, or from somewhere else when the reservation is not in operation. How many such women have got elected the second time? So probably then you can work backwards and say it's because of her work, because of the work she did. But what is the percentage of such women? So that is one research gap which we found. And this is going to be a pan-India study. We want to study the entire country. In fact, it's up, right? It's already on our website. You can look at the details, what we're looking at. And it's pan-India study. So you can look at those things and you can look at so many other. And the other one we are doing is the unorganized sector. So if you are looking at women laborers, your question, so we want to understand. Of course, we are not
asking women laborers per se. The unorganized sector, we're looking at certain professions because otherwise it would be a massive study. So we have 1 year study to get panellists. You can check the website, we haven't yet uploaded it even. And then you can find out the aspects that after a wide stakeholder consultation, we have arrived at certain topics in the unorganized sector, which impact more women more than the others. So you can see it. Give us research studies. We'll be organizing seminars and conferences on it. Give us a proposal for seminar or conference on those subjects. We'll be happy to, especially on the unorganized sector.
Thanks.
A very good afternoon to the whole dais. My name is Rebecca and I'm a second year student. I want to ask Negi ma'am, that we all know that women suffer from domestic violence in every household. But when the police come or any other help comes, they just pretend that nothing has happened. The main reason when I have personally asked them is that they don't have any other place to go. Their parents doesn't support them. They don't have any financial support. They have kids who will look after their kids if they just leave the husband or the family. So what about them? What can be done for them and their situation will be better?
That's right. So of course you have the Domestic Violence Act involved. Under the Act we have so many other agencies and there is a whole institutional structure which are supposed to support such people. What needs to be? See, in India we don't have a deficit of regulations or laws. We have enough laws. It is a regulatory, it is rather than an enforcement mechanism. So we're not enforcing the laws the way they are meant to be enforced, or we don't have the support structures. For example, if a woman is subject to domestic violence, she can go and complain. Obviously, she'll find it difficult if she has children and if she's dependent economically on the family and society, as you know what the society is like. So we need to build these support structures. We have one-stop centers and shelter homes where women can stay for some time. But they cannot take their children there. There are so many other things. But as far as the NCW is concerned, we have a helpline. They can bring in. We need to create awareness for these things. There is a PPT which we can share. We leave it behind. We can share it. So there is a helpline number. You can call us up. We can counsel you. We can expedite the FIR if at all she's interested in finding an FIR. We can help in rehabilitation, not rehabilitation, shelter homes, short time, and take police action, etc. So there needs to be more awareness that these things exist. Like you as a lawyer may not even be aware of what all exists for supporting such women. Not that I'm saying that, first of all, the crimes don't get reported. First of all, they don't get reported. Nobody reports. Right? And second, even as you said, when the police comes in, they say nothing. So all this is also bias, right? That gender bias has to be. So it's all social, cultural, legal, the entire institutional framework that has to come together to support the most vulnerable women who are trapped in domestic violence. And so that's my take on it. And when I talk of gender biases, I must say, to Mandi, IT, we spoke about artificial intelligence and gender. So you have these, you've all heard of Siri and Alexa. So what do they do? What are they meant? What are they meant for? Siri, Alexa. For switching on the lights, for reminding me of something, for menial tasks. And they're all women. Okay. But there is another software you as lawyers might be using, which is known as Prof. That is a man. Why? Because that is knowledge. Okay. So that bias, which is even when we are designing our AI systems, the persons who are designing it, their bias is also included. Right? So Siri could easily be Sira, Alexa could be Alexa, or also could be Masi, I don't know, but it is not so. So what I mean by this, it's maybe a superficial example, doesn't matter, everybody does the job. Siri bhi kar sakti hai, Sira bhi kar sakta hai. But what I'm saying is when we design these AI systems, which are meant to maybe the next day and it's going to take over our lives, we have to be very careful about the gender biases of the designer. And the gender bias of the designer is not because he or she wants to make city city and rosso rosso, but because they are inbuilt. They are there from the beginning. So conscious decision. Conscious.
So with this, I think question and answer. Any other question? Okay. So.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Ma'am, Negi has already said about reservation. So recently, reservation bill 2023 has passed, and women got 33% reservation. So I want to know, do we really need reservation? Just may we are only sitting, women are sitting in the parliament only speaking for the men. Like I will talk about the minister. Do we really want women who really have the courage to represent 65.19 crore women for them, not women who represent, who are just sitting for the face. The face tell you that we need 33%, we need 1/3 of the there.
See, thing is, one, why do we need reservations for women in elected bodies? The parties can as well give 33% tickets to women. They can do that. Why do you need a legislation? So that's the easiest to do, but it's not happening. So we have to make a beginning somewhere. So that is why I said that to understand exactly this question, we started this year with a pan-India research study on the impact of the 73rd and 74th. Let's see how it is found out. We've heard of Panchayat and seriously, right? But what is actually happening on the ground? There is a big research gap there. So, because as NCW, we'll be asked these questions when finally the bill comes up for discussion, big government comes in. Then we'll be asked, what is your take on this? What do you see? What do you think about it? Or your opinion? Then we need solid backing. Let's see the 73rd and 74th Amendment after 30 years, whatever ordinance, almost more than 30 years now, of those laws being passed. This is the impact it has. So hopefully 30 years of legislative assemblies and parliament, Lok Sabha reservations will come up with something new. But we have to wait and see. I can't really say anything else. It's a democracy, it's a party democracy, right? So parties line has to be on this. It has to write whether it is a man or a woman. But hopefully, I have seen personally when I was working in panchayats and places, I found that women in the panchayats, for example, this is in 1996, I think. I was working in the Zilla Panchayat in Mandi district. And we had elected chair, obviously elected. Woman chairperson, she put in a sign her name. She was elected to the post. And the decision she used to take, so, I mean, far-reaching impacts. So we have to really wait and see how these things are shaped. That is also.
May I also take privilege to ask one question? Ma'am, we try to solve this problem of gender biases from the perspective of law. But we have ample of examples that law has failed to make a cultural change in people's mindset. So why don't we conceive the idea of training in terms of understanding stereotypes?
So if you see my presentation, we have started this sensitization training, but everybody has to do it. It's not only NCW which will do. We are doing it with all the judicial academies for judicial officers, in addition to schools, colleges, and places like this, and corporate sector, and the other government places, also the judicial academies. And probably we like to think that it was this exchange of ideas between the Supreme Court and us and LESNA that I said their names. We sat together. So recently Supreme Court has come up with that lesson on gender inclusive language to be used by the in the court. So these steps probably I hope it will.
Any question? Last question? Okay. So with this, I would like to invite Birthday Registrar Sir to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Chanchal. National Commission for Women in Education is Center for Comparative Public Law and Center for Child and Women Studies has organized this program today. That is awareness and capacity building program on rise and lead young women pioneers in technology, business and public. The mandate of this program was that from the NHRC that all the participants should get girls of national nutrition. Last week, we were preparing a list for UGC. UGC had asked the name of the 3 students from NLU Shimla for part 3, SAT3 portal. What should be the criteria? Honorable Chancellor told that there is some criteria. Ultimately, we decided that it should be on the basis of merit. I am happy to announce here that for the 2nd year, 3rd year, and 4th year, all the toppers are the girls of this university. So, on your dignity sitting on and of the dais, participants, with this we have come to the end of this program, Monday program, and we are happy and privileged to have Ms. Meenakshi Negi, Member Secretary, District Government Corporation of India with us. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time in this class. It is our honor and privilege to have Ms. Geeta Kapoor, role model for all of us here today. She has reached to the position of CEO and MD for SJVN. Ma'am, you are referring the name of some women they have achieved in their life. I'm sure in future your name will be referred in everywhere that you have achieved. Thank you. We have a Professor Sanjeev Sharma with us. Sir is always with us whenever we require them. Thank you, sir, for accepting the invitation. There is a one technical section we are looking the resource problem for that, or what Chancellor was studying very hard. Ultimately, he decided and Parimala should be the one of the resource problem. Thank you, ma'am, for in this program, short credit goes to Honorable Chancellor because all the resource persons sitting on the dais, it is his choice only and just see the success of this program. Thank you, Dr. Chancellor. My thanks are going to all the organizers, especially DSW, Dean, Academic Affairs, and Alokma, and the director of the centers, all the participant students, team on technical team for this program, for this in the person. I told earlier that the mandate of this program was that all the women, girls should be the participant. Just in the dice, we have the resource person from this women empowerment one. So before departing, my humble request to all of you, give a standing ovation to all the resource persons as well as the participants. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Now I request to rise for national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
So requesting all to joining in dining area for lunch.